All right, and we are live back here in beautiful Vancouver, Canada for the semifinal rounds of this year's North American Parkour Championships. It's your main man, Frosty Fresh, as always, holding it down in the commentator's booth with my boy Joey Adrian.
What's up, everybody? Today is about to be insane. The skills challenges are going to be switched up. They're going to be getting harder. It's going to be a different format, and based on practice that I've seen from speed and style, it is going to be an insane day. We got some crazy stuff planned.
Absolutely. And for those of you who are just joining us today, yesterday was an incredible quarterfinals round. We got to see some of the most incredible athletes who qualified not only on the on-site qualifier this morning, yesterday morning in Port Moody, but also the regional qualifiers and last year's top place finishers. And let me tell you, there was a huge amount of ground covered in just in terms of the progression level.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
I think things have really just advanced. And, I think it's something we say every single year. The skills have gone up higher and higher and higher. But I feel like, I don't know, is there something in the water? Like, what's going on with these athletes this year, Joey?
I have no idea. It must be kind of where our sport is in its progression right now, because we've kind of hit our stride, right? We're to a point where a lot of the athletes understand things to a very high level, and we have never had this many athletes at this high of a level at the same time. And now that everybody's starting to get to that peak, things are just pushing farther and farther and farther quicker because we have so many people playing off of each other to progress the sport.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I saw yesterday, every time I see this event, with the three different parts of it, skill, speed, style, you'd think that over time you'd really start to see athletes focus on one specific thing, which you definitely do see.
Yes.
Athletes like Tim Champion, for example, he's an absolute monster in skill. Every year he's the favorite going into this, ever since he blew onto the scene just a couple years ago. But as I start to see these athletes advance, I'm actually starting to see more and more of them picking up multiple events and getting stronger and stronger. Joe Hendo, Sydney Olson, Brody Pawson, all coming through with top place finishes in multiple events in the quarterfinals. Now, what do you think is going on with these athletes in their training?
I think really what it is that you find as a athlete, if you train more well-roundedly, you're going to be better at whatever you want to kind of go to the top tier in. So you'll see a lot of these style athletes that actually just don't necessarily care to compete in speed or skill, but in their training time, they're still going to be training these movements because it's going to be making them a stronger athlete overall, and that's going to be much easier to then perform the skills in style that they want to do. Same goes vice versa with speed and skill.
Yeah, I had a great conversation with Sydney after finding out she was even going to try and qualify in the skills round, which is not necessarily where a lot of people figure. She's a well-known style athlete. She's one of the top female competitors in the world. But she said, pretty much what you're going at, her training has really just pushed her to expand. She's been doing a ton of cross training, a lot of strength training, a lot of conditioning. And, I think she's really looking at herself more as a full athlete, not just a freestyle athlete, not just a parkour athlete, but an athlete, period.
Yes, and it feels almost weird to say this, but in years past, you can literally just look at the physique of parkour athletes, and you'd be like, well, they're kind of unassuming. They don't really look like an athlete. This year, we have athletes competing. Just looking at them walking down the street, seeing a mob of parkour athletes coming at you, you're like, these are big people that work out on the daily, and they know how to use their body.
Well, this is another one of the things I wanted to talk about. We've seen an influx of younger athletes coming into the sport. I mean, we've got Elise Bickley, Noah Giorgino Mann, Jaden Harris, a lot of really young talent coming through and making it to this event. And one of the things that I feel like we're starting to see is as athletes are starting to train at a higher level at a younger age, their bodies are actually developing into basically parkour machines.
And on top of that, you have the kind of old guard who knows, okay, we're starting to get older. We really need to take care of our body. And there wasn't that many people back in the day telling us, hey, you got to do these things to take care of your body. There might have been people saying it, but there weren't people living it. And now we have these athletes that are living it who are coaching the younger athletes and being like, hey, you got to start the strength training, you got to start conditioning, you got to start taking care of your body, and that just means better athletes as we progress.
Well, I think there's a huge difference between, your mom saying, hey, cut that out before you can't walk, and an athlete that you watched come up and be amazing, telling you, hey, I'm just a few years older than you, and I'm already suffering from not having taken care of myself. Hey, I'm one of those people included. I was over there talking to Ed Scott this morning and tell him he's got to work out any issues he's got. And unfortunately, we did have a few athletes drop out of the course
We
today.
did.
Luckily, there was no major injuries in the quarterfinals. But one of the things, when you have these longer competition seasons, when you have harder training regimens, you are seeing people trying to compete, seeing how they feel. I'm actually pretty happy that the people who dropped out chose to. They had pre-existing injuries, and they were testing it out in the quarterfinals. Actually, 3 of our speed athletes chose to step down, make way for the rest of the athletes to really show what they're capable of on this course and not try to put anybody at risk.
Yeah, I was also really happy to see that. You'll see a lot of the times at a big event like this, some of the athletes really just want to push through. And they're like, yeah, I have something nagging me, but that can lead to a very serious injury. Luckily, all 3 of the athletes that did end up dropping out are very experienced veteran athletes, and they know to put their body's well-being above one competition.
All right, well, speaking of kicking this competition off, you mentioned the skills round, which we're going to start off with. What are the main differences between today and yesterday?
We have some big differences. So yesterday we had a community round. All of the athletes were on the course at the same time for a large amount of time. They had as many attempts at the challenges as they want. Now, what's different today is we will have 1 athlete on the course at a time. Everyone will start in the exact same spot. When the judge says go, they have 2 minutes and only 2 minutes to complete as many of 5 challenges as they can. The way that it's set up is so that it's almost like a course. You can go from one challenge to the next as long as you complete it. With that said, you do not have to complete the challenges in order. If you decide this first challenge, I'm not even gonna try, you can go straight to the last challenge and you have 2 minutes and to see how many challenges you can complete.
Now, it's just crazy. I was talking to some of the other more veteran athletes of this event about the first NAPC I was at, because I've been commentating since the beginning. You know, we're at number 7 right now.
Oh, yeah.
But back in the day, it was literally, okay, jump between these 2 blocks.
Yep.
All right, skills was how far can we Kong? How high can you dyno? And to look at how much it's progressed now, I think it just shows the way that this community has taken their training and evolved it to a place where it's not just about seeing how far you can vault or how big your jumps are, but really how you can utilize those techniques.
Most definitely. And like you said, in the beginning, we literally just had the double barrier pass over. Just get over 2 barriers and we'll see how far we can push that. And that was cool. That was exciting to see. But it really only is one aspect of training. Now what we have is we're starting to incorporate, we're going to do big things, but it also is going to be technical, and we're going to link it to something else that might be even more technical. So we're covering a much broader range of movement now.
Well, one of the things I love about this skill round is any athlete that completes all of the challenges gets a bonus point. So it's not just about being fast. These athletes have to really strategize how they can get to the places they need to, because that point can make a huge difference in the end. You're building up a lot of ground between you and your competition because all of the scores in all of the events are cumulative.
Yep, and I actually have to make a small change to what you said there. It's actually only 1 athlete gets the bonus point, and it's whoever does it the fastest.
Absolutely.
So if they complete all 5 challenges faster than every other athlete, they get 1 bonus point, and that can be huge moving on to the final round, where really the difference between missing or making a single challenge will determine our winner.
So yesterday we had a 30-minute time limit, open space. This time it's only 2 minutes. How does that change your strategy as an athlete?
As an athlete, it really puts the pressure on, right? You have that time constraint. You want to do as many things as quickly as possible. But the downside to that is you only have a limited supply of energy in those 2 minutes. So you really have to be smart about the challenges that you're hitting. And that's going to be one of the most interesting things to watch for, how the different athletes will decide, you know what? This is not my strong suit. I'm going to get this out of the way. Or maybe vice versa. They think, hey, this is going to be the hardest challenge for me. I need to work on this first so that I have that little bit of energy at the end, but I can spend it doing the challenges I know I can complete.
All right, so we'll be kicking things off first with the women's skills competitors. Who, obviously our favorites from yesterday, Sydney, Camilla, Tam, they were really strong, completed all the challenges. Who do you think has what it takes to come through on top for this one?
Oh, it looks like we're getting started.
Oh, we're about to see them make their way onto the course right now.
Challenge 3, Dino, Challenge 4, Dino, in this wall here. We're going next to the top here. Must be a two-hand release. It does not have to be a two-hand catch. A two-hand release is necessary, as well as a plan. Challenge 5. From the top of the tower here, striding this box here. One stride to a precision landing here. Once both feet are here, that is where time will stop. Once again, you'll have 2 minutes to complete all of these challenges.
All right, and now you've gotten a chance to see some of those challenges laid out. Athletes are going to be set up, and as Joey said earlier, there is the potential to be able to go straight from the beginning and hit all of these challenges back to back to back. And of course, that would be the easiest way to crush them all, be the first one, and be able to pick up that extra bonus point.
Without a doubt, but that is definitely going to be difficult, especially because each challenge is different. Each challenge caters to a different sort of athlete and a different type of training. That means that you might not get your best, kind of format right at the beginning, your best challenge at the beginning. That means you might want to skip. Now, it'll really show who the top tier athletes are to see somebody go from the beginning all the way through to the end and just flash every single challenge.
Yeah, and I think, with athletes like, for example, Tamila, she's really strong. She's one of the favorites going into this, but she definitely has a style. She focuses on really specific kinds of training. She's very techy. She's very creative, but it might not necessarily play as well as somebody like, for example, a Sydney Olson, who this is actually not her main focus, but she's just been focusing on becoming more well-rounded, improving her strength and conditioning. She even said one of the hardest challenges she thought was going to be on the course yesterday was that Lachey bounce, Lachey cat,
Yep.
and she's terrible on bars. She felt like she wasn't going to be able to make it at all, and she flashed it on her first try.
Exactly.
And even she has just been surprised by her skill set. But another favorite for me, Alyssa Serpa, she's a local legend. The only thing there, I know she's coming off of a bit of an injury from before, and so she's just getting back after her rehab into shape now. So that's why we're only seeing her competing in skill as opposed to the speed challenges we usually see her in. But definitely can't count her out.
Yeah, going back to Sydney just for a second, I know we were talking just a little bit earlier before we got started. I am very, very strongly looking forward to Sydney, and I think really what sets her apart from a lot of other skill athletes is she really is willing to just send it. She knows that she can bail out comfortably, that she's not going to get injured, so she's willing to kind of put her body in a position that it's not comfortable with because she knows she has the skill to pull it off. And that goes a long way with skill challenges, especially the scary ones where you're like, ooh, I don't know, I might bail this. A lot of people, when they think they might bail it, they might just not go for the challenge. Where Sydney, even if she thinks she might bail it, she knows how to bail it properly, and that is huge.
Yeah, it makes a massive difference when you have confidence, not only in your ability to do exactly what you want to do, but to deal with it when things go wrong. I mean, that's, if anything, the sign of a true professional athlete. And as a veteran competitor here, I think she's got that, but we've got a few other people here who can definitely handle themselves. I know the Origins sort of training methodology certainly embraces that. That's something Alyssa can lean on when she's trying some of these challenges. It's probably what allowed her to make it through, even considering she's still building her strength back up.
Do believe I heard that Juliet Marcio is up first.
Yep, she's going to be kicking things off.
Right, Juliet coming out of Seattle, Washington. Really hyped to see what she's got in store. She is a powerhouse, very young as well.
Yeah, only 18 years old, but she's been training for 6 years already. This is basically her first and only sport she got into, so she's really dedicated herself to this.
I was training with her a bit earlier this week, just before the comp as I passed through, and she told me that her training has not been great lately. Very few and far between sessions. Oh, you could see she had the power, just barely slid out. deciding to go right to the next challenge.
Looks like she wasn't able to quite get it around that corner. Again, that 90-degree turn makes it so tricky. Very clean.
Nice
though.
work. It's interesting to see her just continue on with the challenges instead of head back to that first one. It looked as if she could get it, but she decided to just move on. Maybe come back to it at a later date. Gets the dyno,
So
finishes it off
strong.
with the climb up.
All right, looks like she's moving on.
Looks like she's rounding her way back around to the first challenge.
Taking her time. That can be one of the hardest things for athletes. You know, they only have 2 minutes, but it's important to know when to push it, when to take a second,
Yep.
take a breath, compose yourself. She has been competing since she was 13 or 14 years old, so she does actually have a lot of experience despite being one of the younger athletes.
Oh, and what you'll see is, especially for a challenge like this, it's really important to get the first jump correct. So if you can get your feet a little bit further on that first ledge that you land on, it's going to make the second jump a lot easier. But if you put too much power into it, it's going to be hard to get your body in the right position to go into the second plyo.
I like this angle. It shows you a bit more of that drop, which actually makes this a lot more challenging because in addition to getting power, you're also taking that impact first.
Oh, she did not feel that one, decided to walk away from it. Right, Juliet completing 2 of the challenges.
So there we have it, our first competitor on the skills course. That is definitely not a fun position to be in. The first one, trying out this this new setup, going through it. And one of the things we talked about yesterday is every time an athlete sees another athlete complete a challenge, it makes it easier for the next person to get it.
Yeah, I would not want to be the first person on the course at all. We got Megan Beatty coming up next. In what I would consider probably my favorite position to be in. Not first, but just right after. I get to see kind of a taste of the challenges, and now it's her time to go in. She doesn't have to sit and be super nervous about it for too long. It's time to just go right into these challenges and see what she can do. Looks like her time has already started. She's kind of composing herself, ready to get this first one done. Okay, they restarted the timer. That's what I like to see. Big jump.
I know Megan's been working a lot on her strength. She's been building up her conditioning, getting really, really strong. But again, you can have all the power in the world, and if you can't get your mental in the right spot to hit that technique exactly how you have to, you can put all this power in the world into it, but it's nothing without control.
Yep. And that's where getting that bounce back technique or even a crane in one time, just landing with 1 foot on top and 1 on the side, will go miles to help your confidence.
She almost got that first foot on. Let's see, looks like she's moving on.
I think that's a smart choice.
Oh.
Ooh, she decided to go back. She did get the single foot on, so now if with her next attempt, if she can get up there quickly, get both feet on for 1 bounce back, then I think she definitely has it on the next one. She could go full send on this one as well and just try to power through and get that precision.
Looks like she's not quite getting her hips into place, so she's going to move on to this bar challenge.
For this one, it's hard to tell, but that block is pretty offset. You almost have to jump around a vertical pole and then swing yourself back towards the ladder. Nicely done.
Very clean.
Grabbing a little more chalk.
Yeah, that's always been one of the hardest things for me. As soon as I get out there, my hands just start glistening.
Yep.
Gotta keep
And the
it
worst
going.
part is, as soon as you think about it, they start sweating even more. Now this one, the rules are both hands must leave the bottom wall before catching the top one. Beautiful work.
Very nice catch.
Just caught fingertips on the corner.
Looks like she's not going to be going for that stride today.
Yeah. Good job, good job.
All right. Solid run from Boston's Megan Beatty.
That seemed to be pretty much as smart as she could have played it. She wanted to go for that first challenge as many times as she could, but she also decided, you know what? This one's not happening for me. I got a little over a minute left. Let me get the ones I know I can get done.
Louisa, whenever you're ready, Dylan will give you a bell.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Ooh, great work there. You could see she had the power, came in a little too straight, not quite enough up on that second jump. And the shoelace come onside.
The dreaded shoelace.
That is a big rip in a competition format like this where you only have 2 minutes.
See if we can get a better set on this.
That's the
Very
one.
nice.
Now, the rules for this format in particular is controlled landings. Now, where yesterday we had to see stuck landings, today it's not necessarily a stick, since they have nicely done. Flash is the second Hachet challenge.
You got this.
What they have to do is they have to show that they have control on top of the ledge, and the judge will say, good, they can move on. That way you're not wasting too much time coming to a full stop at any one challenge.
1 minute remaining.
All right. Louisa Chang, she's got 7 years experience under her belt. She's just been introduced to weight training, really been trying to build this strength. I feel like it could really help her out here on this dyno challenge. But again, it really is all about this very specific technique.
So when you want to get that top foot as high as you can, so that when you take off,
You got it, you got it.
when you take off, you're already up high on the wall and you just have to reach to grab the top.
So Louisa actually won the skills qualifier at Forge Parkour, which got her to this event today. She made it through the quarterfinals. Oh, just missing out on that dyno.
Looks like she has just enough time to go for one more attempt, gain her composure, give it all she's got.
Oh, just isn't able to get it up there.
Still great work. That looked like 3 challenges completed, or I believe it was only 2 challenges completed actually.
Yeah, she got that first plyo, and then was able to get this Hachet catch on her first try. Oh, you can hear the love for Alyssa right now. And you know, earlier I said she's a local legend, but
She
Alyssa
really
is really, really adored around the world. You know, she's a strong competitor and always got a great attitude. Again, those plyos are something normally I think we would have seen Alyssa getting really easily, but you can see her rubbing her leg a little bit there. She's
Yep.
still trying to get that strength back that she had.
And I think that's actually a really smart approach sometimes. Just get the first jump out of the way. Beautiful work. Get the first jump out of the way. Gauge how much power you have to put in just to get there, and then make the second one nice and safe. All right, so far we've seen a couple flashes on this swing challenge. Not going to be the one. But again, one good feel out. Let's see if she decides to release this time and go for the cat. Nicely done.
All right, a little bit of a different technique with her feet there. She kind of did a catch on the side of the bar.
Yeah, I kind of like that. It slowed her momentum down a little bit so she could hold on a bit easier. She's going for the concrete. Walking right away from that one.
Yeah, we haven't seen anyone even attempt that so far today.
I do like that she gave it a look as she passed by. That means if she can flash this, she can go back without having to take a second look.
Oh, wow. Again, this is normally one of her strong suits. It's definitely something they're training at Origins a lot. There's a whole specially designed dyno wall. And, all right, the technique pays off. Even if her strength isn't back at 100%, she still knows how to get it done. That's the Alyssa Serpa that I love to see.
That is what I like right there. First try, up high strides.
All right, right, looks like she's sprinting back for that Kong precision. She's still got 20 seconds on the clock. That's plenty of time to nail this. She only needs one.
Wiping off those shoes, making sure that they're going to stick when she hits it. She already gave it a look. Let's see if she goes for the full send.
Ooh, she's got 7 seconds. Can she get another one in?
She got the final attempt in, but just couldn't quite make it.
But squarely put her in first place. Great showing from Alyssa Serpa. The score of 7.5.
I think the next closest score was 5.
Yes. So that'll move Louisa and Megan down into tie for a second place, and then Juliet Marcio in fourth.
Looks like we got Tamila up next.
Oh, wow.
Moving straight to her strong suit, the dyno. She is known for her dynos, and she loves them.
Oh, and look at that
Perfectly done,
top
first
out.
try.
What an absolute beast.
Moving her way through the course, not going for the up high stride. It looks like she wants to get her strengths out of the way first and then go to the ones that she's a little more iffy about.
Again, this is something we kind of expected from Tam, going to her strong suits, making sure she can get that in. I'd say that's a smart play as a competitor.
I agree. Get the guaranteed points and then go for the ones that you're not so sure about.
Oh, wow. A little bit too much heat on that swing there.
And you can see that it's a really tricky little jump, having to come out around that vertical pole and then swing yourself back into the cat. Nicely done.
And if you notice, even she had her foot right on the corner of that box, just trying to get that extra little couple inches. All right, looks like she's setting up for those plyos now.
I think this is one that she could flash first try if she gives the full jump. See if she decides to take a look at it first or just go for it.
Just over half her time so far.
Taking a look. And you can see on that one, she didn't get her heels fully over the edge. That means her toes were just on the close side, making the second jump quite a bit bigger. I'd like to see her aim a little bit further out on that first wall so that she can make the second one a bit smaller. There we go.
Very clean.
And you can see there right from the beginning, the toes were to the far edge and she had confidence going into the second one. Making her way up to the strides. This has a big fear factor because you're up high and the first ledge is very small, going parallel with the ledge you're standing on.
Super clean. And just inside the buzzer. Decides not to go for that Kong precision. Doesn't really have time for it anyway, but a really solid run from Tam. That dyno, no problem.
You can really see her strength to that dyno. She had full confidence
And look
running
at her
straight to
takeoff,
it.
just the very tip of the edge.
I like how
Super
you can
clean
see
catch.
her right foot on that corner and then her left foot jumping out and around the wall. Deciding to go with a right-footed stride there. Now, the block is to the right, so it's a little bit more awkward to go on your right foot crossing over your left.
All right, there's Camilla flashing
Camilla,
that
first
challenge.
try.
Making it look easy.
And she catches on. They're going to call that good. A little bit sloppier on that one, but the first one was so clean.
It's like everybody's skipping that Kong precision.
That is a big, scary Kong precision. Getting your feet to it is not a fun thing. Camilla is blazing through this course right now.
Looks like I think she's going to flash this challenge as well, and then maybe just take her time trying to work out that Kong precision, giving herself as much as she needs. Just look at this.
Beautiful.
She still has over a minute left, a minute 16, just to work on that one Kong precision.
And this is what you want as an athlete. The one scary challenge that you're not sure if you can flash, you have the most time to work on.
Especially with this being to a rail precision. It definitely makes it a lot trickier to stick it.
That looked like really good distance she got there, maybe even a little further than she expected. I'd like to see the bounce back on this one. So to me, it's looking like she's not quite comfortable lifting that left foot up to meet her right foot. If she can get both feet on top one time, I'm positive she can get this challenge.
An extra little half step back. This could be the one. There you go, testing it out, getting her mental right. Sometimes
She's got 25 seconds. It might be worth to send a jump from the first bar and just get the bounce back one time, showing yourself you know you're capable of catching it.
All right, 15 seconds, here she goes.
Just enough time. This one's got to be all or nothing.
Crowd giving her some love.
Either way, I think she can walk away super happy with that run, flashing every other challenge. And on top of that, she bounced back the scary one. And that is a big progress right there.
Up next, representing Tempest Freerunning from Los
All right. Camilla Stefanu with a 8.5. And our last competitor of the evening, quarterfinals winner, Sydney Olson.
Ooh, I'm excited to see this.
I know her power's there for the plyos. After watching her on the laches, I think she's going to have it easy, but that Kong precision.
Oh, yes.
Easy flash from Sydney there. I think she'll have this bar challenge if she can get that really tricky turn. Oh,
Yes.
no problem there.
Super comfortable. Looks like she's going to look straight at the Kong precision. I like this.
Definitely not one of her strong suits, but something she's been working on. Ooh,
Gets
gets
the bounce back
on the
first
first try. Wow. And she's going back to try it again, taking a different strategy than the other competitors.
And that's a massive confidence boost. As soon as you get both feet on, you know you're safe to put full power into it.
And they're going to
Got
count
the
it. All right. First competitor to break that challenge.
And that's a great showing of what a controlled landing looks like. She had control. She fell off the other side because she had too much power, but it does not have to be a stick.
Nice. And you see how she uses that run up, bounces out of that quick cat to give her that extra little boost for the dyno. And now looking for some love. She's got a whole minute just to hit this one challenge. I think she's got it. And she
Beautiful
saves
work.
it. All right, that's going to give Sydney the bonus point, the first challenger to complete every single thing. Look at her flash this precision right out of that plyo, no problem.
Let's give it up for all of our women's skilled competitors!
So, Sydney Olson, not the cleanest on a couple of these moves, but just goes to show you when you know what you're capable of, it allows you to push yourself to that place. And even that last precision, which definitely didn't seem as controlled, she was still willing to go for it. She knew what she could do, and she also knows that she can handle herself if she does overshoot it.
Yeah, you can kind of see it was a bit of a sheer force of will just to stay on and stick that. She saw the height drop in front of her, and she's like, nope, I'm staying on this wall.
So the breakdown in our women's skill semifinals was exactly as the standings shows. In first place, Sydney Olson, repping Tempest Freerunning out of Los Angeles, California. Not only completing all the challenges, but getting that coveted bonus point, putting her in 10.5 points. Followed closely by Camilla out of Brazil with an 8.5, and Alyssa Serpa, my bad, Tamila Benabdallah with 8.0 points. Right behind them is Origin Parkour's Alyssa Serpa with 7.5. And I think coming up next, we've got the men's skill round. You can see the athletes getting prepped right now. They're going to have a slightly different version of these challenges. I'm really looking forward to what these are going to be.
They are going to be scary. I can say that with almost certainty.
So yesterday, we saw 4 athletes coming through, making it and hitting all of the challenges. Joe Hendo, Darryl Stingley, Brody Pawson, and of course, our previous champion who finished everything with time to spare, Tim, the champion, looking for repeat wins here in Vancouver, BC.
We all 5 challenges, but these challenges are a little different. All right, let's go ahead and run these competitors through our 5 challenges for today. any side. The quarters are on. Starting from the top of this wall, into a cat on this tower, landing into a cat on this tower.
Right now we have the athletes kind of asking a bunch of questions.
Attacking off of the ice wall. Striding the rail of the bar cage. Precision landing on the 90-degree rail that Jim was on right now.
Not stick, but control. Fall backwards, it's not control. You fly forward.
Stick is not necessarily control where you want to. Challenge 3. Starting from the swing of the bar cage. The shakes that box stride to a precision landing with the elbows right now. Single stride. Challenge 4. Running towards the tall tower. 180 to the gray. Cat back 180, landing with precision on the high bar. It must be a continuous motion with no pauses.
Now, something that you're seeing right now is actually really smart from these athletes. They're asking as many questions as they can so they get as much information. That way, they know what they can do and what they can't do. Because a lot of the time, you're kind of looking at a challenge and you're like, well, if I use this part of the course, it's going to make it easier. Making sure ahead of time you know exactly what you can and can't do is super important. Otherwise, you might hit the challenge and they'll give you a no score because you didn't quite do it right.
Challenge 5. Combo over the wall here. Catting the back wall. Dino up to the top of the bar cage. And time will stop once you're inside the bar cage, feet on the ground.
Right now, it looks like the big question is if they can or cannot use that small block.
Completes the last challenge.
A lot of times I think it can be hard to recognize how much just a few inches of ledge can make a difference in some of these challenges. And also, I think in terms of different sized athletes, you know, adding those things in which can make it easier doesn't make it easier for everybody. So from a competition course creation standpoint, it's really important they spend a lot of time developing these challenges to make sure they're not going to unfairly advantage different people. And it's one of the reasons why we this year have different men's and women's skill challenges.
And the big thing about that block there, this challenge isn't actually horrible if that block isn't there, because you don't have to go diagonally as much. You could actually aim for a Kong precision to that block, making it possibly easier for some athletes as opposed to having to go further to the right, missing that block, and then catting onto the wall. With that said, I do believe that final challenge would be one of the only challenges I would be okay attempting.
All right, so the athletes have now been prepped on their 5 challenges. They're getting a little bit of time to spot it out, see what they want to do, how they're going to strategize this. Everybody clearing it. All right, Joey, what would be your strategy going into this? Would you start at the beginning and try to make it all the way through?
That's a great question.
From Newcastle, United Kingdom, Jordan Leon.
Jordan coming up first. Now, for me, looking at this, pretty much every single challenge is horrifying, so I would skip straight to the last one because I think that's the only one that I personally would feel okay attempting.
All right. Looks like Jordan's making his way up onto the pillar. Clarifying a couple things. The smart move before that clock starts running. Again, athletes only have 2 minutes to hit all of these monster challenges.
Decides to skip the cat back, which looks like a horrible challenge. This has to be a tack stride and then precision the parallel bar.
Again, you can see Jordan looking back and forth. So many elements here.
This first tack is surprisingly difficult because the wall is so small that you can't put your foot where you want to put it. Moving straight onto the lache. Gets the lache, stride off of that square block, and then precision the top.
Again, a lot of these athletes, they focus on a very specific type of training, landing 2 feet, good solid landings, putting your body position in the best place possible. But in a skills competition like this, you don't get the chance to choose how these challenges are set up.
Ooh. It definitely looks like that is within his ability. He has to land on top of the block. That was a solid starter. Hands are still chalked up. Good angle on this one. The distance is massive.
45 seconds.
The difficulty here is you have to get enough power out of that lache, but also stay down low so you can redirect your momentum to go up. Ooh, that looks like a good...
Very close. But I also think, we're going to see athletes come onto those bars in a lot of different ways. When you're doing so many swings, you're also tiring yourself out a lot.
Exactly.
So going back and forth between these challenges might be really helpful from a mental standpoint if you're not feeling what you're doing, but you're also wasting a lot of energy switching the gears, changing things up, going back and forth.
So we got time for one more coming out of Jordan.
Just isn't
Solid
able to
effort.
pull it out.
That right there is a testament to how hard these challenges are. 2 full minutes, came close to a couple, but this is a insane competitor out here. Jordan is a monster, and I know a lot of you know him who are watching right now. That shows how difficult every one of these challenges are.
And athletes can still get points on the board even without completing any of the challenges, just based on their attempts and how far they get through each of those challenges. But it's going to be unlikely that he's able to pull away and make it through into the finals without completing any of the challenges.
We can see him not even looking at this cat, starting down low, not wasting any energy, doing the cat down. As you can see there, again, the height of this wall coming into play. When your foot goes really low, it's much easier for it to slip, and this wall forces you to put your foot down low.
Just so many things that you want to change but can't. That's got to be so frustrating, but it's those challenges that also inspire athletes to push themselves, to expand their training. Ooh, very close.
I think that gave him a lot of confidence coming into this next one. Michael Slager able to hit the first challenge here.
Isn't able to get into that stride through position.
What you can really see from this angle is how much on that backswing he has to angle his body the opposite direction, angling his body off to the left so that he can release to the right.
Wow.
He looked powerful on that leg. I think a small shift to his release on the lache, coming in a little bit straighter, is going to allow him to get the momentum to go to the top.
like the way he's doing this start. I think it allows him to get a better angle on that takeoff rather than doing multiple swings where he can actually throw you off.
Yes. And another thing that comes into play here is these athletes have been training for the last 2 days. Their hands are probably close to ripping. Getting fewer swings is going to save those hands.
About 6 inches too low there.
Time for maybe one more, but he's got to be pretty gassed coming into the end of his 2 minutes.
Big pull, here he goes. Just didn't have it. I think he knew as soon as he got to the block, his hips weren't in the right place, he didn't have the power. But our first competitor to get through one of these challenges, laying it down on that really techie tack stride precision.
The techie tack is techie. I'm going to be surprised.
Tack so techie.
I'm going to be very surprised if we see any of our athletes actually going for this first challenge where we're doing the cat back from tall pillar to tall pillar. It's very dangerous. Tavon coming up next. He is one that might send this cat back.
He's one of our older competitors, 30 years old. He's been training 15 years.
Looks like he's going for it. Ooh. That is a massive height drop, and there's a lot of things under it. You can see Tavon after that first one, he's like, nope.
Not today.
I'm going to walk away from this one. Smart choice. That was everything he needed. Now he just needs to link the momentum a little bit better to carry him through to the final pre.
And again, that redirect, first off of the tack, and then have to redirect into that angled precision back the other way.
The judges are also watching to make sure he's only using that one rail that he needs to land on. If his foot touches the other one, it's going to be a no count.
All right, looks like they're not going to count that one. We'll see if he attempts again or if he's... No, looks like he's going over to the bars. He's
on
half his time up.
On that lateral rail precision, it can be a little more difficult to tell what a controlled landing is. He needs to have his weight on top of the bar, not falling backwards or forward. I like that little adaptation there. He decided to go to the side of the tall wall just to feel out the stride once. Yes. Wow, massive stride coming out from Tavon.
Just pulling through on that.
He almost had no momentum left from the swing. He just powerhoused it.
Wow, just going for it.
I think that sums up Tavon. He is a powerhouse. He has the technique, but he is not scared to just try things. And that's what I like. You can really showcase his power doing that.
Looks like he caught his foot on that ledge, but he's going for it again.
Oh, they're not going to count that one. He took too much time at the bottom of the cat. Tavon's still completing 2 of our challenges.
Yeah, and I definitely think if he'd had a couple more seconds, he would have been able to pull through on that challenge. That's a tough one. You know, this is such a massive stride and so much power.
I'm really glad that somebody kind of broke the ice, broke the seal on that first cat back challenge. Now, he didn't make it, but he showed that, hey, you know what? We can at least try this as we move forward. Hopefully some of the other athletes are going to take that that lead and go for the full thing.
Yeah, and anytime you see an athlete break a challenge like that, even if they don't complete it, it really opens it up in the other competitors' minds. All right, next up, we are going to have Luke Sable repping Kelowna, BC. I'll be honest, that was the first time for me on there. Anybody from that area, BC, please feel free to chime in and let me know how to pronounce Kelowna, BC. But Luke Sable is going to be taking it up next. We'll see what his strategy is here on the course. There's a lot of difficult challenges here, just such a meaty skill round here. I really do want to see another athlete going for that cat back.
I completely agree, and I do respect the fact that it is high. If you even take one height drop from there, if you don't complete the challenge, take one height drop, that is going to spend a lot of the energies in your legs. Luke Sable. Been watching him train all week. He has so much power. I would love to see him go for this cat back, actually. I think if he fully commits, he can do it first try. Takes a look at it, decides to move on, go to something a little bit safer.
Yeah, especially when you start spending too much time on that wall, you're just soaking up energy.
Yep. I do believe that was kind of a good tactic, though, at least taking a look. So if he completes the other challenges, he can come back and try it, knowing what it looks like.
And again, these athletes do not know these challenges ahead of time, so it's only when we're learning about them here with you guys in the audience that they're seeing them for the first time as well, so they've not had a chance to train any of these skills yet.
Ooh, beautiful cat.
Very
and
clean.
It's good.
I think now that we've seen that flash, we're going to see a lot more athletes starting over there.
I agree. I think it's one of the safer challenges to go for and one of the easier.
All right.
Gaining his composure.
Here's that minute on the clock. Takes a second. Breathes. Smart. Ooh, just a little bit too low.
Something that can really hurt you in an event like this is rushing too fast from challenge to challenge. Because if you're sprinting from challenge to challenge, that's taking up a lot of your energy.
Just isn't able to get the power off of that stride. 30 seconds. Still got 30 seconds.
As you can see again, first of all, the angle coming into this tack is a little awkward. It's really, really shallow, and so it's not easy to get a strong tack off this wall. Nice work.
Well done.
He had a solid landing on that foot, which allowed him to just basically do a almost standstill jump off of one leg.
And they're going to call in there.
I think that was the smart call. He went up, wanted to look at the cat back to precision, decided, you know what? My time's up. I'm just going to get down. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to try to rush it and injure myself. I got my 2 challenges. Let's hopefully move on to the next one.
Yeah, and with 5.5 points, that puts Luke Sable squarely in first place.
Right.
And that means that he's got a good chance of going on to the next round. Definitely a smart play not to go for something where he could wreck himself, pull himself out of the running. All right, next up is going to be David Garcia, representing Hub Parkour. He's a New York-based athlete coming here today to throw down on this skills course. Yesterday, he had 3.5 points, which put him in 9th place. We'll see what he's able to pull through here.
New York, David Garcia.
Right. Man, I was watching him just warm up, and he was hitting some of the biggest Kong precisions first try casually.
Let's see, centering himself up there.
Looks like he's moving straight over to the Kong Cat Dino. That starting spot where he's at, he's got to kind of go through a very narrow walkway. Big Diagonal Kong does not touch the block. They did not give it to him. It looked like he stayed on the wall too long. Even though he didn't touch the block, he stayed on a little too long. It wasn't a dynamic movement.
Making it look easy. Hitting it again, no problem.
And I like what he did there. He didn't wait for the judge to say good. He knew it was good. He moved on to the next one. It's going to save him quite a bit of time going to these last few challenges.
See him centering himself again. Love to see that. Shows you it's not just about adrenaline here.
Oh, beautiful tack.
Oh.
That was one of the best tacks from that block that we've seen so far. Got up very high on that ledge.
Yeah, you could see how much he was over those hips and tons of power going through. Actually, a little bit too much heat coming through that. Looks like he's going to take a second. He's still got a minute on the clock.
overdid it on the first one, underdid it on the second one. That means, in general, the third one is just right.
All right, third time's the charm. Let's see if David has it here. Clean tack.
Oh, his left foot, just the toes got on, not quite the placement he wanted, and that stopped him from being able to gain that control.
Oh, wow. Moving on. Going to take these last 20 seconds, see what he's got on this Lachey challenge.
He's got very strong legs. I wouldn't be surprised to see him flash this.
Ooh,
Oh,
but
the
too
Lachey
much
just
to the
wasn't
side.
there.
Yeah, you could see his weight really leaned off to the side, trying to make that turn. And he's going
Let's
back
go.
for that tack.
Oh, the judges are not going to count that one.
All right. So definitely a lot of power, a lot of control from David Garcia, but isn't able to pull through more than that first Kong Dino challenge. So that's going to give him 4.5 points, tying him up for second place with Tavon, but leaving Luke in our first place position.
Here you see him hit that Conga Cat, go right into the Dino, straight over. And look at this, no hesitation, moving right on to the next challenge. And I think what we saw there,
All right, Liam Hodge is going to be up next, repping Origins Parkour out of Vancouver, BC. He's got that home court advantage here. I wonder if he's been able to hit any of these challenges in the past just during his regular training.
something that I would love to see is you'll see some of these athletes, and we just saw it right there with David, where it looked like he had the ability to get the challenge, and he knew he had the ability to get the tack challenge, but he wanted to try the Lachey as well. Just didn't quite have enough time on the clock to come back around to the one he knew he had. I think maybe one more attempt on it, he could have gotten it. Big man coming up. Looked like he might have glanced at that wall. And going down.
It's like
We're to the next
he's
closest challenge.
eyeing up this tack stride.
Looked like a little slip on the shoes. That was a much better tack.
Still pretty low on that wall, and it's already a low wall.
Wrapping back around. That's what I like to see. I think he's got this in the next one. You can hear those shoes slipping just a little bit, not allowing him to get the power he wanted off the tack.
Moving straight into this Lachey.
Good Lachey.
Definitely
Hips.
you can see his power on absorbing that, but in absorbing it, he actually lost all of that momentum.
Yes. Hips were just slightly behind where his foot landed, making it much harder. Ooh, that time hips a little too far forward. He had to put both feet down.
1 minute remaining.
It's about half his time. He hasn't completed any of the challenges yet, but looking really strong on this one. It almost looked like he just stopped on one leg and was trying to send it from there.
I think that was the release timing on the Lachey. It sent him a little too high, so he ended up arcing up and then coming down, having no more forward momentum to carry through, made it so he had to stop and just jump off that one leg. I think he can get this one first try as long as he angles it just right. Good angle. Very
Beautiful.
clean.
An easy flash for Liam Hodge.
I think that's the cleanest we've seen that challenge get done.
All right, let's see. Looks like he's coming back for this tack challenge. He definitely has the power for this. It's really, I think, about foot placement for him here.
That's all it is.
Last 15 seconds here.
Looked like toe slipped off, just caught his shin. That's a painful one, but he's showing no signs of slowing down. See if he can get one more attempt in.
He isn't able to pull it through.
Liam Hodge coming through with 2 challenges completed. Oh, you could see his hand, his right hand went almost all the way over the side. I don't think that was on purpose, but it did allow him to get there.
All right, so 5 points for Liam Hodge,
cannot state enough how important it is to conserve energy. Team Hodge does come through with 5 points. You could see there towards the end, he was slowing down a little bit. He really had to make sure he had the energy to do the challenge he was working on. Because it doesn't matter how fast you go into the challenges if you don't have the energy to complete it.
Well, one of the interesting things about this competition we talked about a little bit before is even just attempting a challenge here can build up points. So even though Liam was only able to complete one of the challenges, his attempts got him close enough where he was able to push himself into second place. But our next 4 competitors were able to complete all of the challenges yesterday.
Looks like Brody's eyeing up this. Oh, he's going straight past it. I think he's going to go to the Concat Dino first.
Yeah. Smart play.
Definitely plays to his strengths.
Clean cat. We'll see if they give him that dino.
Good.
Yes. Now, Brody was the last of the competitors to complete all of the challenges yesterday, but he still did finish every single one. I wonder if that's going to affect him here in a much shorter time frame.
Now, Brody is known for his catbacks. This is a very technical one and a very tight one. I love to see him working on it, though. He's a big guy, and this corridor is relatively tight, getting those first 2 catbacks with enough power to go up to the bar.
Now, I know he had to drop down there, but I wonder if he wants to just give this a shot so he can feel out what that catback feels like.
Yes!
Very nice.
Wow.
So clean.
He really was just almost hugging that wall to his right. He stayed far enough away, just centimeters away, and got the count.
Wiping off his shoes there. This is definitely a techie one on the toes. He's going to have to hit this first tack, which is very low for an athlete as tall as him.
Solid first tack. That's kind of a signature move that I see coming out of the Possum twins. They have a little towel to wipe down their shoes, making sure there's no extra dust on it. See him going back to it now. Making sure there's nothing stopping him from getting this one.
These parkour towels.
Let's go.
Strong. Oh, just a little bit too much heat. He definitely has this one now. I think this is it. Last 10 seconds.
That's the one.
And you know what I love to see? You know, the first couple he changed his movement a little bit, but his last precision on that one, he really widened his stance, which allowed him to absorb some of that lateral movement and just cruising through here. Just look at those completed challenges. Just smashes this Kong Cat Dino, no problem, first try. Took a couple attempts on this, but he's first competitor to hit this cat back to rail pre, nailing it. And then making quick work of this tack stride precision.
Very interesting to see him decide not to go for the Lachey challenge at all, where many of the other athletes went straight to the Lachey challenge over the catbacks to the rail. He decided, you know what, catbacks are my strength. I'm going to get this one, and I'm not going to worry about the rest.
And I think that's the kind of thing that once it's broken, I have no doubts we're going to see that from our next 3 competitors as well. Now I think it's just going to come down to which of these athletes is going to be able to complete any more of these challenges. And I really do hope we see somebody go for this big cat.
The catback is a very scary one. It's a very risky one, and it's right at the start. Now, I do believe what's going to separate these last few athletes is who is willing to go for it, who can get the other 3, the other 4 challenges the fastest, so that they can end up with the catback challenge.
Okay. Representing Squadron from the Bay Area, California, Darryl Stingley.
It's like Darryl Stingley coming up next.
All right, Darryl's been an absolute beast in past competitions. You know, he's a skilled speed and style competitor, but definitely known for rocking this skills course. I think a lot of this plays to his strengths.
I would not be surprised to see him flash this and then move immediately to another challenge. Yeah. Ooh, they're not going to count that because he had a bit of a bounce coming down.
Judges real sticklers on this one, possibly because it's also one of the easier challenges on the course.
That bounce looked to be on the right spot on the wall, so they're going to count it. It looks like they need to get to the right side of that small little square. Very smart. He's walking over, conserving his energy, trying his best to only use energy when he's working on a challenge, conserving it while he's moving challenge to challenge.
All right, here comes his first attempt on the tack stride.
Looks like he's going to want to get just a touch higher on this next one.
Definitely know we can hit this. Ooh, but they're not going to count that. So
Looks like they want him to stay on that rail just a split second longer. He had good control, but didn't quite stop the momentum.
Really surprised we haven't seen him go for the Lachey or the catback challenges yet.
Yes. I know Darryl loves catbacks. I would be very happy to see him go to this one. He's got about 23 seconds left. Again, it's a tight space and a very technical end spot.
All right.
But this
only
is
have one attempt at this.
beautiful work.
Ooh. Makes the height. He's got 6 seconds left. Can he get one more in?
I think he's going to squeeze one more in. He's got very good technique. 1, 2.
Again, I think he might have been able to make it if he had more room on that bar, but that wall there just makes this so much more technical. You can't just put the power into it.
Yep.
All right. So Darryl Stingley moving into second place with 6.5 points. That'll put him right behind Brody Paulson with that 7.5. Luke Sabal still in third with a 5.5. But up next, two favorites of the evening here still to go. Joe, the People's Champ Henderson, and Tim, the Champ Champion.
Oh, yeah. Now, what do you think? Do you think either of these competitors are going to go for the catback? I think Tim has the advantage of seeing what Joe is going to do.
Absolutely.
Do you think that either of them will go for this catback?
Well, interestingly enough, I think both of these athletes are strong competitors, but they're also people who are competing to push themselves. So I think that regardless of whether or not they need to, they're both going to try to do every single thing they can. But Champ has the opportunity to look at Joe, see what he's doing. He knows where Brody came up. He knows where Darryl's sitting. He can really play this smart.
And that's the advantage of being the champion from last year and moving forward in first place from the last challenges. Joe blazing over. So we got some sun lighting things up now. Looked like he caught his knee, but that did not slow him down. He went straight up into the dyno, completed that challenge first try. Might be going straight to the catbacks, kind of looking it out, making sure he gets everything right.
All right, now he's had a chance to see what it feels like.
Now on these, they can do any approach they want. They can start in a cat or they can start from the ground and approach it. It looks like he's more comfortable starting in that cat position, and I like that since the walls are pretty close together.
Looks like they're not going to count it.
That was very close. He's going to have to push off a little bit further.
Wow. Judge Vinny Piacco really a stickler on this one. Got to see him hit it clean.
He's going try after try using so much energy. Oh, you can see the X coming up. 45 seconds left.
Wow.
Gaining his composure, taking a minute.
He knows he spent so much time on this. He's got to get it now. Very nice.
Not wasting
30
a second.
seconds. Looks like he's going for this techie tack stride. Smart play if he can pull it through.
Just gets the bounce back.
Wow.
Look at him using those speed
Turned it
skills
into a
to
little
get back to the
speed
start.
course just to get himself into place. He's got 17 seconds left. Oh, no. All right, last attempt for Joe.
Yes, there's I think he is pretty mad at Dylan for starting the countdown right as he was going.
Yeah, I could definitely get into your head. That is not an easy thing there.
A little bit of a slip there, but it didn't stop him from getting that dyno. Turning right around, looking at the judges, making sure he got the good, moved right on.
All right, 7.5 points for Joe Hendo, putting him into a tied position with Brody Pawson. But, of course, if anybody could complete this monstrous skills challenge today, it is the legend himself, Tim Champion.
Most definitely.
Now, where do you think we can expect Tim to go first here? Is he going to start off with this big move, or is he going to play it smart, try to go to that Kong cat first?
And if he wants to win, I think he'd skip the big cat back. But if he wants to just get it and show, you know what, I am the best out here at skills, I'm hoping he starts with it. Looks like he's eyeing it up.
There's definitely a lot on this course to take in. Which way do you want to go? Where do you want to start?
Representing Storm Free Run from Exeter, United Kingdom, two-time champion, Tim Champion!
Two-time champion, Tim Champion.
And still, let's see if he can keep it up. Looks like he's going straight over for that cat lead.
That's what it looks like. I saw him eyeing up the cat back a couple times, decided, you know what, I'm going to play this safe.
My hope is that he flashes pretty much everything else and gives himself that time to really put in some effort on some of these harder challenges we haven't seen anyone hit yet. So clean.
That one good.
And just so light on the wall. You can't even
Very
hear
light.
that impact. You can tell he's absorbing that energy really well. He's not taking a big hit there. Looks like he's going to start up on the wall like Joe did. Switching his feet.
Now again, Tim is a big guy, and that first cat back is very small. Second one, you have to go up very high, but you don't have much distance to travel, which makes it much more technical than it actually looks. And it already looks technical. Oh, it looks like the hip just hit the corner. We're not going to count it. Similar look to Joe so far.
But it looks like Tim's trying to face a little bit more to the left, whereas Joe is definitely leaning in closer to the wall.
Yes.
Able to hit it, and he's still got a minute on the clock, plenty of time. Looks like he's going to chalk it up, so I'm betting he's going over to these bars. Definitely.
I think what he wants to do is he wants to flash this tack challenge and then go directly into the bar challenge.
That's amazing. Well, that's exactly what you'd expect from the champion.
Now there's not much need here for your hands, so might as well put some chalk on them. I'd like to see one shoe wipe with the forearm coming through. There it is on the floor. I like it.
20 seconds left.
That's a solid tack. Good, he gets it. He's right under the bar, still chalk on his hands.
Giving himself 10 seconds.
Big upstart. He's got one more attempt if he goes fast. Looks like he's gonna call it. Little bow.
All right. Solid run from the champ. Really getting in on the bread and butter there. He knew what he could get straight away. Hit this cat no problem, straight up into that dyno. That's gonna put Tim, Joe, and Brody tied for first place with 7.5 points. And Darryl Stingley right behind them in fourth with 6.5. So overall, we definitely saw a lot of these athletes going for a ton of these challenges, but it was not easy. Nobody
Not easy
completing
at all.
everything here.
And I think you could see most of these challenges were on the technical side. There were a couple that they flashed, like the Kong to cat, that was all about power, and one that they didn't touch, which was the big cat back. Those two were all about power. The other challenges that these athletes were actually able to complete were all technical.
So let us know in the comments, which of those challenges would you guys have gone for? I think if I had to choose, I would have gone for the sitting down and watching from the commentary booth. But, you know, that's just me. So let me know, guys, what did you think of that Anybody at home think they have what it takes to go for that big cat back?
Oh, man. And let me tell you right now, we are sitting directly under it, and it is massive. I remember when they were showing us the quick run-through of the course, and I legitimately thought Renee was joking when he told me this catback was one of the challenges. I was like, oh yeah, haha, that catback, that's funny. And he's like, yeah, it's from the corner to the corner. And I was like, oh, that's actually the challenge? He was like, yeah, that's the challenge. And clearly some of these competitors thought it was a joke as well, because we only had one half attempt at that one.
And again, when we don't have any athlete completing all of the challenges, it definitely puts less pressure on the athletes to go for it. You know, somebody like Tim Champion or Joe Henry who might have been able to do it, they're really not going to push themselves to go there if they don't have to.
It's an interesting one too, because that one really is just a powerhouse challenge, right? There's not anything you have to stick. You just have to get your body from one corner to the other corner and hold on. And Tim Champion is a guy that has the power to do that. It is scary, but it's not technical. And as we saw with the technical catbacks, as well as the tack to bar stride to precision, that did give him a little bit of struggle. He wasn't able to flash it like he wanted to.
Well, Tim, as we said, still our reigning champion the last 2 years. He's been on a hardcore weight training cycle. He's been really designing his skill set to focus specifically on these skills challenges. And, you know, he said he does feel a lot of pressure. He's, you know, he went from being basically an unknown with a cool name to being a 2-time champion. He got sponsored by Storm, dropped a massive video. He's now, you know, a well-recognized athlete.
He's basically a household name in parkour. Everyone knows this man.
And it's all because of this competition. He really found his place here in a setup which is basically designed for athletes like him. And it's one of the coolest things, I think, overall in this competition is just providing that platform for people to really shine. You know?
It showed the entire parkour world just how good this human really is at moving his own body, how disciplined he is to build his body up and to get over these mental challenges.
Cindy Olson, Louisa Chang, and Tam Ben.
All right, that will be our women's speed lineup. We've got some really talented athletes coming up here. Oh, I think they were just announcing women's skills finalists, who we actually just saw slightly before this. But next up is going to be women's speed. We've got some great athletes coming through. Yesterday's winner, Kaja Kilogenic from Denver, Colorado, came through in first, followed closely by Camilla Stefanou and Juliet Marcio, who we just saw as well with Camilla in that last skill round.
Darryl Stingley, Brody Boston, Tim Champion, and Joseph Henderson. Once again, let's give all of our skill competitors a round of applause as we set up for women's speed semifinal.
All right, so coming into this women's speed event, we've got some really great names we were talking about from yesterday. Obviously, a couple of the athletes we just saw, Tam, Juliet, and Camilla, all just competed in the skill round. So I'm interested to see if they're going to be at all tired out from that, whereas Kaja is coming straight off of yesterday's win, and she hasn't had to do anything so far today except for watch her competition work themselves to the bone in that monstrous skill challenge.
Now that can be kind of a blessing and a curse though, because the pressure is on. She is in first place. She has the highest or the lowest time so far, and she's moving forward knowing, all right, I have the best time. If I can just do well and not mess up, then I should be able to carry that time through to this round and be able to move on to the next one. That puts a lot of pressure on you, where our other competitors, they still feel the pressure, but they've also gone through one event already. They had that pressure on them during skills, and they know what it feels like. They've kind of adapted to it. Now they can move forward to speed and kind of just take it a little bit easier, relax a little bit more, give it their best.
And I do know, Kaja coming out of Denver, Colorado, all the Apex crew out there, there's a lot of attention paid to not only practicing these fundamental parkour movements, getting faster, but really just the details of human movement. They were really breaking it down. I was talking to Ryan Ford, one of the founders of Apex Movement, and he was out there analyzing individual statistics from different Apex athletes, looking at things like how many times their feet are hitting the ground in between obstacles, how much time they're spending on each section. And that kind of analytics can be kind of overwhelming for a new athlete, but when you're at this pro level, it really does come down to these tiny little minute differences. Working on your top outs, getting that top out from taking a whole second to half a second, that's a half second off your time. And when these athletes are coming in within a fraction of a second, every little bit counts.
Exactly. We really are coming down to the point where 1/100th of a second matters. That's why we're using the laser timers, because we need to know exact times. And when the competition is that close, that means that any tiny little footstep placement to add just a 1/10 or 100th of a second to your score, or take away 100th of a second of your time, that's going to go miles in these competitions.
You can see the crowd getting hyped out there. We really have just opened it up. They're basically letting anybody in here at this point, as you can see. But it is really just getting packed out there, even more than yesterday. And this is, again, still only the semifinals. We still have a whole other day of competition coming up. So if you guys just joining us now, we've just now completed the men's and women's skill division. We had some amazing performances from all of our athletes, and we're going to be bringing them back again tomorrow for NAPC 7 2019 finals tomorrow at 5 p.m. So make sure you join us there. Again, a big thank you to our hosts, Origins Parkour, and of course our sponsors, RYU and Strike Movement. They've been with us from the beginning. They've been really helping make this possible. But most importantly, thank you to you guys at home. You guys really make this possible, because if not, I would just be sitting here talking to Joey, and while that would be nice, there would be no point for me to fly all the way out here.
Exactly.
So thank you guys for showing up at home and tuning in. We really want to share this with as many people as possible. So if you guys are enjoying this broadcast, make sure you share the link for tomorrow's event. It's up on the Origins Parkour YouTube or sportparkourleague.com. So you can see the judges just laid out all the flags for this event. For those of you guys who didn't see it yesterday and hear the breakdown, those flags dictate what side of them the athletes have to go on. So if you see those red flags, the athletes need to keep those on their right shoulder. The yellow flag means they need to go to the left side. Looks like it's going to be a pretty extensive course covering most of this ground.
Yeah, as our days go on, the courses do get a little bit longer and a little bit harder, especially where speed is concerned.
Yeah, and, one of the areas where I'm always interested is what is going to be the sprint part of this course. Because athletes, anytime they can find a way to get their foot back on the ground and propel themselves forward, they can really speed up. And it's when you see athletes like a Joe Hendo that's really comfortable on their feet, or Tamila, somebody that knows how to use the bars, knows how to position themselves to carry that momentum through, that they can pick up those extra half seconds here, there, and everywhere on the course. I do see a bit of a runway looking like it's coming down that final stretch, which is similar to what we had yesterday. It looks like it's going to be a little bit of a version of yesterday's course, but maybe a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, as we can see, that kind of blue pouch looks like it's moved quite a bit further forward now. I am going to be really interested to see how many different high line sections there's going to be versus low line sections, and if any of our competitors are going to decide to go the high line today.
Yeah, it definitely was one of the differentiators in yesterday's competition, especially for the women. The athletes that were able to do at least that first rail precision or stride and carry it through had such an advantage over the athletes that had to take that big drop. In addition to slowing you down, those big drops also suck up a lot of your energy and power.
Right, and another big thing that we saw as a separator in our times is who could navigate more creatively. We saw Katya actually go up the rail and then go beneath it, sliding under, where a lot of our other competitors were either going through the middle section or above the top. And that saved her quite a bit of time, and she was able to finish off her run very smoothly after that and keep that time save all the way to the end.
It's one of the interesting things I think about the way that a lot of athletes train. We start off really focusing on these ideal conditions, on focusing on really building pretty lines out or focusing on our technique for certain things. But at the end of the day, sometimes it just comes down to what works. And you know, you maybe always want to focus on your top outs and showing that power, showing that control. But sometimes doing a pencil roll under the bar is the fastest way to do it.
Exactly.
If it works, it works. And you know, I think we're starting to see athletes that know how to use their skills to their advantage, but also not be afraid to take those moments to sprint and just get quick. I'd say Joe Hendo is one of my favorites for watching that because he is not afraid to just get on the ground and run because he is fast on his feet.
Not at all. And like I said before, he was sprinting across these bars. Like you were talking about, anytime he has a second to put a foot on the ground to propel himself forward, he is going to take that and run with it. And that was another thing that we saw coming from Brody, who's actually moving forward in first place with the fastest time from yesterday. He was able to get his feet to the ground after the 180 without missing a beat and propelling himself across to that brick wall and finish off as fast as he could.
All right, looks like they've finished setting up the course. I see some of the female athletes just getting themselves warmed up and ready to go. Look like they get any time to practice on this course, although they have been shown it, or they will be shown it to get a sense of how it goes. But again, they just need to figure this out. Luckily, in a situation like this, there's not too much concern about the safety of any of the equipment. It's one of the nice things about being in a facility like this. You know, everything is built up to code. You know, there's not going to be randomly any broken or slippery pieces. They've got course testers that are going through and checking all things. A ton of judges out there making sure everything is going to be safe. You don't have anyone passing through the course in the middle of your run or anything. So I think
Releasing all women speed competitors to the center of the course.
All right, it looks like we're going to get a run through of the course from Brian.
Competitors, please report to the center of the course.
see everybody making their way out. Parkour's tallest man on the mic. I've heard it makes for the best reception for his mic pickup. You know, it was really hard when I was doing live MC because, you know, a lot of times you get caught in all the people. But when you're a foot and a half taller than everybody, you know,
it goes straight over, easy peasy. Plus, he's just a big guy in the room, so people are gonna pay attention to him, which makes him great on the mic. He just kind of raises his arm up and everybody sees him.
You can always find him in a crowd, no problem.
Got his beautiful little vest on, looking nice and official.
Keeping it classy. All right, so who's your favorite in this women's speed event right now, Joey?
Ooh, that is a great question. Personally, I actually really enjoy watching Camila run. Did she make it through? She did, she's right there. I was just making sure she was in the crowd. Now, she is one of my favorites to watch because she makes everything look just super, super smooth.
Yeah, her strength, I think it just shows, especially when you see her on stuff like those dynos, her ability to really just get herself into place, so strong and so smooth. And her and Camila both, you know, I think a lot of the times they don't necessarily look as fast, but they're just not slowing down. They're keeping everything smooth, fluid, and not wasting any energy on unnecessary stuff.
Exactly, and I think a big separation here will be to see who can kind of go that extra mile and push themselves past that slight comfort zone and really go for as fast as they can move. It can be scary because when you're pushing yourself to that level, you're kind of at the edge of falling every split second, and the fastest athletes are the one that kind of thrive in that area, where they're moving so fast that they're basically just saving themselves from falling over and over and over. But they're so comfortable doing so, it looks like they're in full control.
All right, well, that's what our expert commentator has to say. Let us know at home what you guys think. Who are your favorites on the course right now, and who do you think is going to be coming away into tomorrow's finals round?
All right, well, time to start with women's speed. Just like yesterday, our competitors will be running through a speed course around the gym. We have a laser timer to start and a laser timer to end. The course is designated by the yellow and red flags placed round. The yellow flags will stay to the competitor's left, and the red flag will stay to the competitor's right. Want to demonstrate our first course today. Starting with the laser timers in the back. Our players are going to go up the wall between the gate here. Across the stage. Through the towers, minding the red flag on the tower. Through the bar corridor. Through the ladder. Make your way to the back of the gym again. And through the finishing gate.
Okay, there you have it. That will be the women's speed course today. So starting on this far side over by where you see the athletes all lining up right now, they're going to have to climb up this kind of awkward ascent where there is a window in the main area, basically where you want to put your feet.
Yep.
So the ledge is actually a little bit too low.
And that makes it so tricky.
Yeah, so it's definitely some technical work to get yourself into place. To see if athletes try to tack off on one side and maybe make their way back over, because they have to go between those first flags right there at the top of the wall. And I think we're definitely going to see some interesting choices as people get back over to that bar section, how they choose to navigate their way through that.
But it's going to be a big, tricky area.
And again, we've got these hooligans there just letting into the...
Just loving the music, man.
Hawaii, Taylor Carpenter.
Taylor Carpenter coming up next. She's going to kind of set the pace for this entire women's speed climb.
All right, she's making that top out look pretty easy.
Going under the bar.
Oh, I like
little
that.
underbar through. I like it a lot.
Wow.
Top.
Big cat, nice top out.
They have to go around that hole, through the window, and then back out through the window, and then through the ladder. That is such a difficult maneuver.
Very solid run overall. Didn't look like she really turned on the burners at any point there.
I don't think there were any slip-ups, but I also don't think there was anything to really make her go as fast as possible.
But again, always a difficult position to be first up. We'll see if it gets any easier for Megan Beattie out of Boston, Massachusetts.
Now going up onto this pillar where she had to do that top out, that is going to be a big spot to watch out for to see if they can actually make that top out clean, keep their momentum moving forward, or if they have to slow down and really grind through that climb up. Whoever can get up there really fast and continue their movement, they're going to have a solid time.
Okay. Representing Parkour from Boston, Massachusetts, Megan Beattie. Megan Beattie starting the way.
Loosening up, having a smile on her face, making sure the pressure isn't getting to her too much.
All right.
Little tack to dyno, using her foot on the ledge to help propel herself over.
Also saves energy, which is good.
So go for that small lachey. Let's see how she makes it up top. Going across the window.
Struggling a little bit with that top out there.
I see what she wanted to do there. She wanted to get her foot up on that little pole to help pop to the top. Oh, beautiful underbar coming through the ladder.
All right, scrambling a little bit here, trying to make up some time. Ooh, but just isn't able to set herself up right for that.
You can see what happened there on the purple wall is she tried to reach over the top, but it's a very wide wall and wasn't able to make it all the way over, and that really slowed her ascent down.
Negative the time of 32.92.
So a little bit slower than Taylor's 28.72. That'll put her in second place so far. I think it all, came down to a couple of those difficulties just getting over the top of those walls.
I think this course, I believe this course in general is going to be all about who can do their top outs the fastest. Because there are so many sections where we have to get up and over a wall, and a top out can either make or break this run.
But definitely leans towards athletes like Tamila that have focused on that upper body strength, on those strong dynos. I think Camilla can do well on that.
Yeah, especially on this first dyno right out the gate.
There he goes.
Beautiful work.
All the way up to the side and then around.
Decided to go down to the ground instead of trying for that lachey. The window catches. Ooh.
Struggling to get her foot into place, scrambling over there.
I like to see that she's really working. She's going. She's not giving up on it. She's not looking for a perfect top out. She is just trying to go fast.
As long as she keeps that control.
Who decides to go up the lower wall and then vault over the tall wall, diving through the finish.
All right, I think that's going to be one of our fastest times.
Time
30.37.
She's a little over a second slower than our top time.
So even though she looked like she was really moving on those in-between parts, like you said, she spent too much time on some of her top outs and wasn't able to make it work.
And it does look like going onto this top pillar is going to be the struggle point. Now you can see our first athlete, Taylor, she went straight up to the climb up and did not mess around with the pull on the side.
All right, Michaela just blazing through this course so far. Let's see how she does on this top out.
Good use of the pole, gets her foot up first try. Beautiful underbar, swinging through. See if she can make it to the ladder. Little step slowed her down a bit, but she's still making great time. Solid top out. Nice work from Michaela. I think that might be our first place time.
You know,
time 27.5.
all right, moving her into first place.
You can see that maneuver right there really paying off. Every athlete, aside from our first one, decided to use that bar on the side. Michaela was able to get her foot up fast and continue moving.
Shows you if you can get that set right, then you can really make it work to your advantage. Michaela came here as an unknown. She said her strengths coming into this are probably her agility, her power, and mostly just being a dark horse.
Oh yeah.
Nobody knowing what to expect from her.
Coming out of the MTI gym and doing work, sitting in first place right now. Let's see what Tam can do.
Well, I definitely know what to expect from this athlete. I want to see her moving quickly, smoothly, and just using her strength.
I'd love to see her dyno straight up right here.
So
Beautiful
nice.
work. Look at that top out.
Just picture perfect.
She's going the high route and precisioning across. I love that. It looked slower. She wasn't moving super fast, but it covered a lot of ground.
And her confidence makes her able to go into these things so smoothly that she's not wasting time getting set, extra motions.
I think that was her biggest slowdown there, going through the ladder and sinking.
But definitely making up for any slower parts with that huge jump up to the box and vaulting out. So look at these top outs.
Oh, that was
perfect.
beautiful.
Great setup.
5.4, putting her solidly in first place.
Dropping her over 2 seconds ahead of Michaela.
That is the perfect example of showing how even if you don't look like you're moving fast, if you are covering the ground faster than everyone else, it might not look as quick, but it is faster. And that was what I want to see from this course.
All right, next up is going to be Juliet Marcio. She was a little bit faster than Tam yesterday. She is coming off
Representing Parkour Vision.
representing Parkour Vision section. I know she wasn't as happy with her skills performance. Definitely difficult being the first one to go there, but here she's been able to watch everybody go through a couple times, see how it's going to feel, and I think this is going to play to some of her strengths.
I expect her to go a little bit slower going over the walls, but a bit faster on everything else than Tamila did. Beautiful dyno. Didn't quite have the same power in the top out, but she's moving quickly.
Trying to go the low line.
Nice cat. A little bit slower on the top out, but she still makes it up.
But you can see a little bit slower on the transitions than Tam was.
Doesn't look quite as confident coming through. See how she'll approach this end? Decides to just go straight for the climb up. Beautiful, right on top.
One of the things that I feel like makes a real big difference between that wall run, which can be very fast to get on top of the wall, versus Tam's precision, is that once she does that precision, she can vault out and just keep her momentum going forward. You see Julia doing a lot of up and down here, and each one of those drops, where she's taken, even on the small ones, she's slowing herself down. She's having to reinvest in that momentum again.
And like you were saying, getting over that purple wall, the precision, I think, is definitely the fastest because, as you can see there, Juliet had to get 2 feet on top of the wall because it's such a wide wall. It's very difficult to get up and vault right over unless you made that previous decision. All right, one of my favorites to watch, Camila coming through.
Definitely has the capacity to be really smooth. She's super strong. Her top outs, her plyos, all really good. Let's see if she chooses to go for that high route, and especially how she decides to finish this off with that last run.
Hoping to see confidence coming through. Beautiful. She gets the dyno and puts her foot up to give her an extra boost.
A little bit of up and over. Takes the cat lead. Not quite as fast as Tam on those top outs, but still very strong. Doesn't use the bar to get up.
Good underbars. How's she going to make it through here? Nice underbar. Straight under the second one as well. Little pause to get the precision. Ball straight over. Now she did take a pause, but that pause was smart to make sure the end is fast.
So that's going to put her just behind Tam, just a fraction of a second, and that's what those little hesitations were. You know, that confidence that Tam had going into those jumps.
This hesitation right here, Tam did not have, and that was the difference.
So, while that may have been faster than going for that top out, having to do that little bit of hesitation does make a big difference. And in the end, it was just that fraction of a second, putting her 0.3 seconds behind Tam.
Right.
Kasha is an experienced competitor. She's been here before. She knows how to get things done. Let's see how she chooses to approach this.
A little bit slower on that dyno up.
Taking the low line, but she's taller, so I think it might be easier. Whoa.
I like that little adaptation, sliding across the top. Beautiful underbar work. I think that was the fastest we've seen that section get done.
And not slowing down in the bar section.
Just underdid that last
Now, I would be really curious to know if she was planning on doing that precision beforehand, or if she saw Tam and Camila go for it.
That is a great question.
But look at how she's using every moment she can to get a little bit of speed. And you see how she just stepped through on that blue ledge. She was already in place for her next piece. Really smart play from a veteran competitor.
Also coming through in first place, and like you said, she might have been using that adaptation going for the precision.
So Hodge is showing what that experience can do, using her height to her advantage, not necessarily as strong or as smooth as Camila or Tam, but still able to come through with that top speed. So, in third place, we've got Camila Semenu, 25.72 seconds, closely in second place by Tamila Ben-Abdallah with 25.44. And your semi-final leader, Kaja Kilogenic out of Denver, Colorado, with a solid 24.51 seconds, putting her squarely at the top of that women's speed division. All right, Joey. So we saw pretty much what we expected. A lot of strong, smooth runs from some of them. What were some of the standout moments for you in that round?
For me, really just seeing the difference, especially with Tamila doing her run, the big difference that she had was the fact that she could do those climb-ups fast. Now, as you can see, the rest of her run, she wasn't moving quickly, but the fact that she could do those fast climb-ups got her through those tough situations a lot faster than a lot of the other athletes. Now, Katya, again, she kind of had a mix of the two. The climb-ups weren't perfect, but she was moving much faster through some of these other areas.
Now, and again, we see the advantage of being one of the last people to go. You get to watch what everybody does. You get to see what the bar is set at, but also how they approach each of these challenges. And Kaja's put herself in a great position because not only was she able to get through a little bit faster than everybody else, but she's going to be the last one to go again tomorrow. She gets a chance to see how everybody takes on that final speed course in tomorrow's World Champion event.
And the crazy thing is, since she has come through in first place with the fastest time on the first course and the second course, the times will be added up at the end after all three courses. That means that she has an advantage going in tomorrow. Not only just going last again, just in case anybody else innovates on the course, she can also copy that innovation. But on top of that, she doesn't have to physically move as quickly. She could possibly come in second place tomorrow, but because of the accumulative time, she could still come out our champion.
All right, we are moving into the men's speed round. I am really looking forward to this. I think I've always had a lot of respect for Joe Hendo. He's been one of my favorite athletes to watch over the last few years coming up, just absolutely blazing through some incredible speed rounds. But you cannot put Brody Paulson out of this. He absolutely smashed it yesterday. He has been pushing himself, traveling all over the world. You know, I met him recently in Austria where he was just for a hot minute. You know, he's from Australia. There's a great community there. He's been all over the world, you know, put together some great videos, got super famous, and then just been taking advantage of that to just go everywhere, train with everyone, and it's definitely paying off.
Without a doubt. And as we talked about earlier, we do have a few athletes that had to drop out due to some injuries, and that was Seth Rugy, David Nelms, and
Davis. So all of them, unfortunately, had injuries prior to this event. They still had qualified either regionally or on site and wanted to give it a shot. I know Seth has been recovering. He's been in a good spot, but I think he just didn't want to push himself into place.
He told me he was feeling good yesterday. Everything seemed solid. He actually felt better than he expected yesterday with very little pain. And then he woke up today and the pain was back. And he said, okay, I realized I pushed a little hard. I tested my luck. I didn't come out more injured, but I'm not going to push it anymore because the pain is back and I'm just going to take it easy.
You know, it's one of the things that a lot of people talk about that are not interested in competition, that think it's a potentially negative thing for the sport, that it's going to push athletes to do things that they're not ready for, push them to go outside of their bounds. But I've actually seen almost the exact opposite. There's almost nobody making it to this level of competition that treats themselves like that as an athlete. In the same way you would see that in almost any other sport. You know, people that are performing at this level are only able to do that because they take care of themselves, because they know what they're capable of and when they can do it.
And I definitely think guys like Davis, Seth, and David all deciding, you know what, I'm going to be a role model to these people watching me, and I'm going to, I could be a contender for first place, but I'm going to show that it's not worth risking my body. I'm going to step down, I'm going to let all the other athletes compete, and I'm going to take care of my body.
Yep. All right, so we've got, in addition to those, Brody and Joe, we've also got Charles Poujade, who came in third yesterday out of Bordeaux, France. Absolutely blazed across the high line in those rails, just making it look so smooth. Again, David Garcia, who we just saw in the skills round as well, he was really powerful, really floaty and all of this stuff. I think that a speed course might even be a better space for him to really show off his talents.
Right.
Again, showing just how hard this crowd is going for these athletes right now.
Moving on to men's speed semifinal.
Let us know at home who you guys think will make it through into tomorrow's finals event.
Representing Squadron from Los Angeles, California, Garrett Eves.
Now for this course, we do have the same course for men and women.
So again, Garrett's got to go up this wall.
Garrett, stop. Had a laser problem.
He's been
Restart.
stumped.
Sorry.
Now, he is not happy with that. The nerves are there at the beginning. As soon as you start running, the nerves go away. If you have to stop, not only have you expended energy, but the nerves come right back. Something that I did see Garrett do that I really liked is when he got up onto that first ledge, you can see his fingers wrap around the far side to propel himself forward, not just over, but over and forward so he can sprint right out.
All right, so Garrett getting himself back into position. Judges resetting the lasers. Looks like there was a little malfunction with the takeoff. Garrett's a 23-year-old athlete, but he's already been training for 8 years. You know, he's been doing a ton of development in his own training. You know, he came up through Tempest. He's been surrounded by a ton of amazing athletes. Darryl Stingley, one of them.
Oh,
they trained together.
Here we go.
All right,
Not
actually
quite
a little
as fast
slower.
going over. He's coming up, gets up very high. I like that. Little slip, but he catches himself. Still going the high route. I'm not sure if it's allowed to go over. Very good
See
roll.
what the judges have to say about that. A couple slip-ups for sure. Maybe just got thrown off by that false start.
With a time of 18.73.
18.73. So it does look like you are able to go over, and that's going to bring a whole new dynamic to see. This right here makes you get off of the high ground, and it kind of wants to make you funnel through that ladder so you don't go over. But Garrett decided, you know what? I'm just going to go down, roll through, and then go right back up. It'll be interesting to see if any other athletes decide that they think that is the fastest course, or going for something like an underbar through the ladder is going to make it a faster time.
I do think his cat leap over to the bar section on the wall was definitely very quick, and it put him in a good position to go for that high line. I wonder if that will end up being the fastest route.
Yeah, he used a lot of the features on the wall to kind of stick to the wall up high early before he actually needed to, so he could go fast once he got to the top.
Michael
Sliger. See Charles warming up in the back.
So quick up that
Beautiful.
first.
Going full on the high route, getting up nice and early. Dropping down through the window. Will he go up or down? Decides to go down through the bottom rung. Makes the precision dive comes all the way through.
Just blazing through that course.
That was our fastest time for sure right there.
Time of 16.294.
Wow, watching Michael run through that was beautiful. You can see that perfect top out, getting a foot on top to propel forward, going the full high route, jumping across, using those bars, perfect foot placement.
Look at the way he actually ducked his head down, but kept his body weight higher as he went around that. So he was set to go into that next motion. It's little details like that you might not notice, but make a huge difference.
And as he was going through that ladder, he actually never stopped his momentum. He didn't dive through, he actually crawled through very quickly. I think that's gonna be an area where we can see some big time discrepancies on which athlete can get through that ladder the fastest, or if somebody decides to go over that ladder.
right, next up is going to be Jackson Olson out of Missoula, representing unparalleled movement.
He has been literally blowing me away. I did not expect to see him as fast as he's been. He seems very unassuming as an athlete, and then just blazes through the course. Puts a foot down there on the start. Oh, little stumble, ends up on the ground. He's got to go back around to get through that flag. He's going to keep going. He knows his time is gone, but he still wants to perform to the best of his abilities. Does decide to go the high route. I actually really like that one.
So not going to be a top time most likely, but definitely showed how you can use that high line and make up some time.
Most definitely. I think that might have been an eye-opener for some of the athletes waiting.
23.25.
He made that high line. He made an argument for that high line, most definitely. Coming up, one quick step there, straight over the top, landing on the rail with his feet so that he can keep propelling forward. Didn't have to worry about going all the way to the ground and then under another bar.
What a shame, because that second 2/3 of his run were absolutely beautiful.
And that's some of the things that can happen in these speed courses. They really are trying to go as fast as their body will let them, and sometimes your body just gets a little ahead of your mind, and small slip-ups like that can happen.
So Joe Unruh, he's been focusing a lot on his climbing recently. You
Oh,
can see he's been really pushing that strength. Look how fast he was going through this. Just so much power.
It's all the way over, going the low route, small little dive through. He made a lot of innovation on yesterday's course, which I like to see. Blazing through this one.
Joseph Monroe with a time of 15.77.
So that'll put Joseph in at first place, a well-deserved one because he had a great run.
I think I only saw one minor step up or slip up just right here and just before. Other than that, a near flawless run. Perfect landing, directing himself straight into the Kong and then diving across that finish line.
Representing Apex Movement from Boulder, Colorado, Seth Wang.
All right.
Seth coming out of Colorado.
Good top out. Taking the high
2
route.
steps, actually propelling himself very quickly. Ooh, nice work.
So fast through those bars.
That might have been the fastest final
Top
section
time.
we've seen. That was
Now that was
beautiful.
blazing. And almost no slip-ups.
What I loved about that is,
Wow. First athlete to break that 14-second bit.
right there, as you saw when he went up to that pillar, he wanted to get his foot on top, couldn't quite make it, adapted on the fly, put his hand down, and that helped propel him forward to get his feet on top.
So still not quite as fast as Joseph, coming in just 0.2 of a second behind him with 15.94. Crowd still amped though.
Maybe
Love it.
even more hands.
Biggest potential. I didn't think it could get any more hype. And yet it still keeps going on.
Performed earlier in skill. Let's see what he's got for the speed.
Very clean.
Oh, beautiful work coming up top.
Oh, slips up on that window turnaround.
Nice. That final bit ends up striding up into the calm down.
Well, you could see all that power, but it's hard when you've got to make those quick turnarounds, those little adjustments.
Something that I think we're going to see as the athletes continue to move through this course is that beginning section cleanup just a little bit. We're going smooth across it right now, but I haven't seen too many people going blazing fast. This end looks like it's almost down to a science. I don't know how much more innovation can happen, but in the beginning, it looks like there's a lot to improve on.
I gotta say, I think that bar section is where we're gonna see these last couple athletes really make up their time. How they get through those last sections. Do they go high? Do they try to go through the bars? I think David definitely had to slow down to get that underbar. He's a bigger guy. Charles won't have that problem. We'll see if he goes high or low on this. Definitely know he can take the high route if he wants to.
I would like to see at least one more athlete go the high route. It does look super fast if you can perform it perfectly.
Wow.
Little stumble, but is not slowing him down. Decides to go up onto the high route.
Great drop down into
Beautiful
that
work
rail.
so far. Man, as we can see right there at the beginning, how to go down, slow down a bit.
3.10.
All right, so not a top time, but definitely a good one, putting him squarely in third place after Joseph.
And as you can see right there, as he decided to take the high route, it looked good. I think the path was there, but the execution wasn't quite where he wanted it to be. I think instead of getting both feet on top, if anybody could Kong up, put one stride, two stride, and then vault down to the next bar and continue that plyometric movement, that's going to be a winning time.
So far, we haven't seen anybody with a perfect run on this course, but if anybody can do it, it's these next two athletes. I think it's going to be a question between technique and power here. You know, Joe is fast, he's techy, he's a smart competitor, but Brody is just an absolute beast.
I think, now I personally think that Joe Hendo is more well-suited for this course. There's a lot of up and down.
But we also know Brody has great catbacks. He's got good top outs. He's really strong. There's no reason why he couldn't come out on top again, just like yesterday.
Just making sure he's fully prepped. Oh,
So
beautiful
clean.
up and over. One step on top, one to the lower bar. Goes up, stride, stride, vaults right down. That's what I want to see. Barely even taps a hand as he blazes through.
All right, he did kick one of those flags, but I think his body mass was through the area they wanted to go. Oh man, look at this first wall run. So clean, and just gets that extra
Loading
little
up there.
push.
1-1-1.
All right, our first athlete to break the 14-second mark. He has brought himself easily into first place. Well deserved, a great run.
Yeah, that was a close one on that final flag, but it did look like just the leg went over, not his whole body, so it does count. And that's what I was talking about, taking the high line. He ended up being able to Kong up to the top, put one stride, another stride, and then vaulting down and flying out of that bottom bar. That was near perfect execution on that course.
All right, so the last man who could potentially make it through into the finals, Brody Pawson from Brisbane, Australia, repping Parkour Twins, the infamous Parkour Twins. We saw his brother, the other Pawson, yesterday. Brody was the only one that made it through into this round. It was a close call. Dylan almost had that run, but here he is. He had a blazing 13-second time yesterday.
Man.
Just absolutely smashed that course. You know, I saw him training it so hard. He had so much going on. But you know what? He and Joe both were in skill. They both have been putting it in. This is their fourth competition over the last 2 days. Actually, fifth, sixth, if you count the qualifiers. You know, they have just been going hard. But
representing the Parkour Twins from Brisbane, Australia,
that day of training paid off.
And you can see here, he's doing his ritual. He's wiping down the shoes with the towel, wiping down the hands, making sure there's no dust to slow him down, no sweat to make him slip. Do it up and over nice and fast.
Quick
Decides to go the
stride.
same route. See if he goes up or down. He does go up. Stride, stride, vault
Wow.
straight through. Little slowdown on that last bit. Jumps right over. Hopefully he touched.
Hopefully he caught that laser timer. That was a close call. That's tricky because there's a lot of different ways athletes are trying to figure out how to close that last bit of the run.
14.83.
Wow. 1/10 of a second behind Joe
Wow.
Hendo.
And I do believe that time was lost. I think he made up a lot of time here, but I think it was lost right there. You can see a slight stumble, and that slowed his pace, and that slowdown carried all the way through the end.
There was a lot of little things that we saw Joe do as well. Brody decided to go for a clear on that last jump, which meant that he went up again and then had to come back down, whereas Joe took it as a speed ball that actually sent his momentum back down
Literally
towards the ground.
pulling himself to the ground.
And again, it was only a 1/10 of a second between those two guys. All right, and there you have it, our semifinal speed rounds, men's and women's. Let's start with the men's event here. Obviously, Joe Hendo coming out on top. Not a huge surprise, but definitely so exciting to watch him go right up against Brody. What were some standout moments for you there?
Personally, I love watching the two top competitors be so neck and neck with their time, because then it really pushes them to do the best that they can. And you see very small things that generally would make almost no difference. But again, when the competition is this close between those top competitors, those tiny little missteps, those tiny little drops in momentum, it doesn't even stop the momentum, just slightly slows it, that can carry through to hurting your time. And that's just incredible to me. I also love to see early on one of our athletes decided, you know what, I'm taking the high route, and then you see the top times also go to that high route. They just added a little more into it and executed it slightly better.
All right, so our leaderboard for the men's speed event. In third place, Joseph Unruh from Sacramento, California with a time of 15.77. In second place, from Brisbane, Australia, Brody Pawson with a time of 14.84. And just eking it out in that first place spot, Joe, the People's Champ Henderson, with a time of 14.72 seconds. So we'll see those athletes making their way into the finals tomorrow. Again, we'll be kicking off same time, same place, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You get the link on sportparkourleague.com. Please join us tomorrow, because if today was any representation of what's going to go down tomorrow, I cannot wait to see how much these athletes are pushing each other. It's going to be a fast one.
And I'm also hyped to see what kind of course they're going to be placed on, because as we were shown today, the course will get more technical, it will get more difficult, and it will get longer.
And of course, all of the points are tallied in these, so it's actually not combining the times of each of the athletes, but actually their ranking score. So for each place that they move up, they get more points. So Brody and Joe both have a top place finish and both have a second place. That should put them equally lined up right now. It really just means that it's all up in the air for tomorrow.
Yep.
So next up, we're going to be moving into the style event. First up is going to be the women and then the men. I'm really looking forward to this. Obviously, it's my personal favorite event of the year.
Agreed.
Every time we come to NAPC style finals, it's the culmination of a lot of things, because I think, you know, we see a ton of these freestyle competitions coming up every year. I'm excited to go to Art of Motion to see what people throw down. It's a sort of combination of all these different elements. Same thing with air whip,
right.
With a lot of these competitions going on. But one of the things I love about the way that NAPC sets up their style comp is that they break it down into the different elements. They get to really focus on putting together those flow lines, which we're going to see today, and then it all just leads up to the biggest moment of the year. You know, that big trick finals that we're going to be seeing tomorrow, and that's actually all the athletes have to do tomorrow. So they really can put everything on the course today in terms of laying out the best line that they can possibly do with the most continuous flow, the highest level of carrying through, and you know, you only have to do one move tomorrow, so you really don't have to save anything now. It's just about making it through that finals.
Yep, and one of my favorite things about watching this event every single year is it seems like this is the event where the meta, the parkour meta, the free running meta kind of shifts. Now, what I mean by that is like, we kind of have similar skills, similar movement styles, since we're all on social media. We see what everybody's doing. At an event like Art of Motion, you see the best of the best, and a lot of people aren't there. It's not a big community event. It's a big competition, but it's not a community event. Where this event is a huge community event. We have athletes from everywhere, competing or not competing. They're training with these top-level style athletes the entire time. And what ends up happening is the runs that we see thrown down in events like we're about to see change the norm for what is doable in the free running world.
Yeah, and if you want to talk about people setting the bar, you know, this has been, I think, one of the biggest years for women's free running. And
Without a doubt.
You know, in the past there would be like one or two really strong athletes. You know, we had a Lucy Romberg or Pam Forrester, you know, Sheva. They're really strong competitors. And we started to see that torch sort of being passed on with athletes like Sydney Olson. And I think this is the first time we've actually been able to see this next generation catching up to the point where Sydney and her generation of athletes, you know, they're right in line with this new generation, and they're all getting to compete together, which I think is fantastic.
It's no longer a sure thing that Sydney Olson is going to win NAPC, where I would say a lot of the years, it does kind of feel that way, where I can go into NAPC, I could not watch the entire event, I could be in another country with no power. Somebody asked me who won NAPC women's event, I would say Sydney Olson, and I would probably bet money on it. This year, I can't quite say that, because having Elise, having Noah, having these other big name style athletes that are just up and coming now. Everybody kind of knows their name because they're so good, but they haven't had the same exposure or the same time competing as Sydney. That means that they're kind of an unknown as far as what they're going to throw down. We know they're amazing, and we know they can give Sydney a run for their money, but it's going to be exciting to see exactly what they decide to put in their runs.
Yeah, and you know, we had a chance to go back and review some of the footage from yesterday's event. If you haven't had a chance yet, you can go to Origins Parkour YouTube and check out the live stream from yesterday. It was a great style quarterfinals from all of these ladies. But I think the one thing that I really did notice, you know, the level of difficulty from our top three finishers, Noah, Elise, and Sydney, was all there. They were all throwing down really hard stuff. But I think Sydney was the smartest competitor in that she knew exactly what she wanted to do, she knew what the judges wanted to see, and she gave them exactly that. Now, while someone like Elise did throw down these really hard moves, she definitely had those moments of stopping in between each of these elements. So even though her placement was really good, even though she knew exactly what she was going to do and where, there was these little moments where she was stopping up in between. Sydney basically canceled those out by just hitting move after move after move and then calling it as soon as she was done. So I think her run was only half as long as Noah's, but she still was able to come out on top.
Exactly. And even though athletes like Elise have done some other big name competitions, things like air whip, right? They haven't had the same number of events to go to as Sydney. Sydney's a veteran. She's been around for a very long time. She knows not only how to use her skill level to her advantage, but how to use the judging criteria to her advantage and to plan a smart line. And that's exactly what the judges are looking for. They want to see those smart lines. So where a newer athlete really wants to go out there and maybe show what they can do to everybody that doesn't know them, put big moves, put a long line together, Sydney knows, okay, I'm going to have my big moves, and then if I land everything perfectly up to this point, I'm going to stop. If I had a little stumble, I'm going to keep going, maybe add a little more difficulty or a little more flow and execution to my line, and then that way I can come out with the best score and the best chances for a best score.
All right, so other than Sydney, Elise, and Noah, what can we look forward to from some of the other female competitors?
Oh man, well, as always, Tam put together a very unique line, something that was really refreshing to see actually. She used almost no acro elements, not many flips at all. She actually included one of the skills challenges in her run, always coming up with creative stuff and keeping the connections perfection. So I'm psyched to see her. And of course, one of my personal favorites is Camila Stefanu. She has the swagger, she has the style. The way that she moves is just so fun to watch.
I also would keep an eye on Hanaho from Japan. You know, she's her first time at NAPC, but she has competed at Air Whip and other competitions before. She had some of the harder difficulty moves. She threw down that cork, she had that swing cast back. She just wasn't able to connect it as well, and that's why she ended up lower on the board than Tam and Camilla. But I think she has the moves. If she can put together a good line, she can definitely make it work. And unfortunately, one of the other competitors who was supposed to be competing, her training partner, Hikari, also from Japan, she has a very good flow style, and because she's not competing due to a heel bruise, she's actually coaching Hanaho right now. So I think it might actually work to Hanaho's advantage that her training partner could really help her figure out a really smooth line, a really smart one, and end up with a great score, definitely putting her through into that finals tomorrow, where she could shine in a big trick move.
I'm also really hyped to see this course is much larger than the course we had yesterday, and I'm very excited to see what Michaela can throw down. She's repping MTI, coming out from the gym, came up here with Vinny Coriel, and I've been watching her train. She has skills, and she knows how to put it together into a line. It's kind of just going to be all up to how she can put the skills that she has together on this course.
Yeah, she doesn't have the same variety of skills as some of the other athletes, but she definitely has the confidence and control with the skills that she does have. And in a competition like this, that's really what matters for these first 2 rounds. The hardest thing is going to be if she does manage to get through, what is she going to pull out for that big trick round? Is it going to be enough to go up after athletes like Elise and Sydney?
And that's an interesting thing right there that you say, because I do believe somebody like Elise Bickley might have a kind of one-up over Sydney Olson. Sydney is an amazing athlete, but I think lately she's been working more on putting together difficult lines, not necessarily adding difficult moves to her movement repertoire.
Yeah, but one of the interesting things about Sydney is she progressed her high-level moves so quickly. I think, you know, she was pulling out gainer pulls 2 years ago.
True.
And there was no way to really score against some of the other stuff. I feel like she could stick to some of those moves that she's had for a couple of years and be fine to really still bring those out in big trick because she knows she can hit them every single time.
And it does also really come down to the execution of those big moves, because execution is bumped up a notch and it goes in order of difficulty to execution. That is the second highest judged aspect on the big trick. So even if you're throwing out something huge, if you can't execute it well, you will get knocked for that.
So again, that big trick round is going to be during tomorrow's finals event. But today, it's all about that flow score. And one of the interesting things about this, even though you have athletes like Sydney Olson, who we're all sure could come out on the podium again this year, if she makes a single mistake, if she falls on any of her moves, it's all over for her. There's basically no way to get through. So all of these athletes have to be thinking not only, what can I do to get through? What's the hardest thing I get? But what do I know I can hit here? Because even one slip up, even one slow down, can end up killing and throwing out their whole score.
Yep, even something as small as just an extra step in a direction that you did not mean to go, that can destroy a score. And on top of that, the judges are being very harsh this year, as with previous years, about something like a fall. If they think you made a bad fall, even if you recover well, they are basically going to wash your score, and you can pretty much be guaranteed a score of 4 or lower. And that makes things like consistency just ever more important, because if you're putting together, in theory, a perfect line, but you're not consistent with it, that is a high variable. You got to be very, very careful going into something like that.
You can see the athletes getting their last chance on the course. Noah setting up a couple things on the purple box. Tam up at the top. I'm looking forward to some longer lines from Tam. You know, when the athletes don't have the same high level of difficulty in some of their technical acrobatics, then it forces them to really string together these longer lines. So the level of difficulty might not be there, but it goes up as that flow goes longer, because there's so much opportunity to make mistakes. And oh wow, I don't know if you guys caught this over on the left side, but Tam putting together a really techy line. looks like Camilla is sort of following over there too, seeing if she's going to hit up those bars, some of those cap leaps, and some of those famous Camilla top outs.
Oh yeah, something that I really like seeing from some of these athletes is they have had time to practice these runs earlier today. And so what you'll see some of the smart athletes doing is not necessarily throwing their hardest tricks, but working on knowing exactly where they will land out of their hard tricks and working on the connection to the next movement. That way, you're not spending your energy too much right now. Sometimes it is important to get a few of those flips out of the way, but the biggest ones, it's most important to work those connections. And that's what I like to see while they're practicing on this course.
Well, yeah, and I think that comes down to the experience level of the competitors, knowing what stuff they need to practice and what stuff they already have. A lot of it comes down to that placement. If you're doing something to a precision or in a tight spot where you're going to need a quick transition, being able to work those things in is sometimes even more important than your hardest move. I mean, yesterday you saw Elise Bickley, her biggest slip-up was on a cartwheel, just not putting her where she thought, and it threw off the flow of her entire run.
Michaela Quinn, Juliet Marcio, Tam Ben, Camila Stefaniu, and Masha Kiljanek.
All right, those are our women's speed finalists. They'll be moving on to tomorrow's event. Looking forward to checking that out. Again, that kicks off at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard.
Are Michael Slager, David Garcia, Seth Wang, Joseph Unruh, Charles Pujan, Brody Boston, and Joseph Henderson. Once again, let's give all of our speed competitors a round of applause.
Now, as we move into the women's style semifinals, I'm going to go quickly over the judging criteria one more time. Now, they're being judged on 4 criteria in this order. The order means that the first one that I say is the most important, and so far, and all the way down. Now, the first up is movement connection. Brian's very loud, man. One more time. Movement connection. That means their ability to connect their moves in a line. We're looking for flow lines, and that is the most important judging aspect. Next up, we have difficulty, the difficulty of the moves being performed. Then we have execution, and finally, structure interaction. That means you might see some of these athletes going super hard with insanely difficult moves, but if the connection isn't there, they are going to get docked heavily. That's the way the NAPC works. And I know there are a lot of people that see a run, something like James West threw down a Chaussee triple full in competition off about a 4-foot ledge, stomped it, but what ended up happening is he didn't get a super high score because the connections weren't there beforehand. So what we're looking for as we move on to these women's semifinals is to see who can make those connections as clean as possible. And remember that difficulty is the second most important aspect. That means even if they don't do their moves perfectly and their execution is knocked a little bit, having those high-level moves in their runs and having the ability to connect those movements together is going to pay off dividends.
All right, moving on to women's style.
Let's go. I think Brian is going to explain the course before we hop right in. We got our judges sitting there. We got Vinny Coriel, Kai Willis, Darryl Stingley, George McGowan. Wait, are they all judging?
Similar to yesterday's style,
I thought we only had 4 judges.
our athletes will be
This
starting
is our
at the
tiebreaker. If,
Dylan Pullen is our 5th judge.
Today is on the top in the back.
I guess that makes sense.
Rez, can you show us exactly what that spot is?
heading up top, showing where the start of the course is.
The athletes will make their way down.
They have to start behind the cage.
Creating a style parkour line to the floor.
They do have some restrictions.
Our 5 judges are here in the bar cage. So if you're in a place where they can't see you, they can't judge you. That being said, everything down here in the back corner is off limits on the ground. You can't see that. But they're going to make their way down to the floor and end their line wherever you feel comfortable. Is everybody ready?
So basically the IMAX wall marks the boundary. They cannot go past the IMAX wall.
Representing Move to Inspire. From Grand Junction, Colorado, Michaela Quinn.
All right, Michaela Quinn.
Move to
Up
Inspire
first.
athlete.
She said one of her advantages here,
Judges.
being the dark horse.
Are you
You know,
ready?
a relative
Yeah.
unknown on this course. It's her first major competition, but she's been doing great. Made it all the way to the semifinals.
Starting off with a little lazy ball going into the underbar. Making her way over to the bar. Goes for the Lachey pre, adding in some of those parkour elements.
So smooth so far.
Side flip, nicely done. Very fast, very smooth, and beautiful connections. I think she might get dinged a little bit on her course usage because that is the 4th judging criteria. She did kind of make a beeline all the way down. But all in all, it was a very good course and put together smart and no real execution flaws.
Yeah, was able to hit a bar move, was able to hit a couple flips, able to connect everything really well. I think it's just going to come down to whether or not her level of difficulty is up there enough and if she used enough of the course, if she was going long enough.
Yeah, I think it looked like difficulty was probably the main thing that was lacking there. Though she did have perfect flow to make up for that, the moves that she used might ding her a little bit because it wasn't super difficult.
All right, so not a huge score to kick things off, but definitely something to set the bar for the rest of the athletes. Hanaho Yamamoto is going to be up next. She's out of Japan.
Hanaho Yamamoto.
Like we were saying earlier, Hanaho has a lot of power moves. Let's see if she can clean up a little bit of that flow.
Yeah, I'm hoping she got some help from her training buddy, Kari, who was unable to compete this time around. But all right,
There we go.
this may be the most excited I've ever seen Hanaho.
She's like, come on, give me some energy. Let's go. Looks like she's starting off with something a little scary. Starts with that palm flip. Well done. Bouncing right into the step vault.
Good connection out of it too.
Webster to roll. I really like that into the vault down. Little tack off to keep the connections going. Ooh, nice cast away.
This is a totally different Hanaho than we saw yesterday.
And, oh, she is continuing to go underbar up. So she finishes off strong.
Call in
Nice
it.
back to top. That was an amazing run out of Hanaho.
That is the exact kind of run that I was saying we wanted to see from Hanaho. Yesterday, she was definitely cautious. She was taking her time. She hit those hard moves, but did not connect it. This line choice was so much better. She was perfectly set up. She just placed her moves well.
That was absolutely beautiful, and you can see how different courses lend their strengths to different athletes. Hanaho actually decided to, go descending down, which kind of the course forces you into. That kind of gives you that extra flow, and she was able to place her power moves in perfectly. 6.93, putting her solidly in first place. I love these connections. You can see that beautiful cartwheel to underbar, working her way up, taking one extra step into that backflip.
But I think it's smart because if she had ended on that Caribbean, it would have been kind of a low landing. It might have been hard to, but because she turned it into a combination, carried it through into that little ball, it made it a part of her run.
Exactly, she did it perfect. Tam has stated she is not a huge fan of competing, but she is going to have a good time. Really excited to see what she threw together for us. Nice side flip to start things off.
Seeing a flip from Tam, surprising.
The toe shoot to Cat. Dino's up. Going across the top. I love that she's using these parkour elements.
There's that gargoyle cat.
Oh, head down. Nice little bow to the crowd. She knows she wanted to land that front flip. Didn't quite happen, but I love the fact that she tried to add it in there at the end. She knows it's not her strong suit, but instead of just kind of playing around, she really went out and tried to add a few flips into here, which is not only going to make her a better athlete in the long run, it's going to give her a better chance of scoring high if she can complete those skills.
But unfortunately, going outside of her comfort zone caused her to bail. She had a little slip up there, put her at a 4.15. So as much as she was creative, again, if you're not going to get that level of difficulty, then you really got to stick your landings.
And Camila coming up next. See her taking her time, not losing too much energy, making her way up.
Camila always kind of looks like she might be about to take a nap.
Exactly. I actually kind of like that because right now, especially a course like this where you are by yourself at the top of a course, you know all eyes are on you. The pressure hits hard. Staying relaxed is vital. Give yourself a little nod. Nice little butt spin over. Oh, big running free across.
360 down.
Nice side flip into the little box area, makes it a bit more difficult. Ending off with the A-twist, goes through with the underbar. Butterfly kick to finish things off. Nice work.
Nice, and I think one thing that she did there, which can be smart if you're trying to figure out what to put together, she actually added part of her style run from yesterday into the end of her line here and then added a little bit onto the end of that too. So she actually saved herself a little bit of time after this side flip, basically doing something that she had done yesterday, this nice little setup for this A-twist, but then carried
She lands
it
that and pops right into the underbar, not wasting a single step. Same thing going into that.
All right, so we can expect a pretty decent score for Camila. Level of difficulty might not be as high as we're going to see from the next couple athletes, but her flow was very good.
Keep the flow up, and I'm curious to see how they will score with that running precision.
6.46.
Score of 6.46. So seeing those higher level parkour elements, that big running precision, does count towards your difficulty score.
Yeah, they put it right up there with Hanaho, who's definitely hitting harder level moves in terms of acrobatics, but equally as difficult in terms of those technical tricks. All right, Noah, always
Hyped
with
to
a
see
smile
Noah
on her face.
Enough the lazy to underbar. Pretty standard start here so far. Making her way, ooh, to the knee front half. Laces up, hopping over.
I knew she was setting up for that cast back before.
The court. Curious to see if she wants to go back and try to end with it. Nice, red sort of cart full to finish things off. Looks like she's a little disappointed because, as you said, it did seem that she wanted to go to that cast back, just couldn't quite stay on top of the wall. Otherwise, a great run.
Yeah, that knee Barani was really nice. She was totally set up here. I think she just went a little bit over there and was not sure if she wanted to put the energy into that top out.
Hips dropped a little too far back. She still has high difficulty, though, especially with that knee Barani, like you said. And then the Webster to cart full to finish things off.
But again, you know, even as a young athlete, it was a smart competitive move. She didn't feel like she was in a good place to hit that. It wasn't going to have good flow either way if she was going to drop down and have to climb back up. So she just kept it going. Overall, it might have been the right move to make there.
I think it totally was, especially deciding not to go back for it.
Wow. So, not able to get over Hanaho or Camila. Noah has dropped herself down into 3rd place.
It's like 1/100th of a point off.
Sheffield, United Kingdom, Elise Bickley.
But definitely looking forward to big things from this little lady here.
Yes, please. She's known for her power moves.
On everybody else, this bar is waist high, but it's about neck high for Elise.
I know that feeling. Starts off with a little bit of flow, keeping those connections clean. Cast back, oh my goodness! On every side of you is a drop. That is such a scary maneuver.
Hitting moves in these tight spots at height.
Down to the angel, oh, just a small stumble. She does get up, but it does seem to affect her a bit. Ends with a solid cast back. You can tell she's pretty disappointed from the fall from the angel drop, but she still put a great run together.
I think it's really hard for these athletes when you see them getting disappointed in the middle of their run. It just makes it harder to do everything else. I'm also interested why she decided to go for 2 castbacks. She has such a big bag of tricks. I'm surprised that she decided to hit the same one twice, especially when she did it in a harder place first.
The first one was super difficult. I'm very curious to see if maybe this second castback was just kind of like, okay, I messed up. Let me finish off strong here with something I know I can stomp out. Because it does feel good to not end on that wall and to get something else out. Score of 4.33. Though it was a sick run, there was a big fall in it, and that means that the judges have to more or less wash out her score.
From Los Angeles, California, Sydney Olson.
Oh man, let's see what she's got planned.
All right. This is it. Last lady of the women's semifinal style round.
Now Kong underbars through. Big tack inward front. Loving this so far. Also goes for that angel drop, gets a higher step to complete it. Palm flip through. Right to the wall full. That's what I like to see. I'm very happy. She looked like she was gonna put up the X after she hit the palm flip. And she was like, you know what? I'm feeling good. Let me throw this wall full out too.
And you know what? She was able to hit that nice little sort of half pipe motion, hitting that angel drop, which I know probably breaking Elise's heart to see Sydney, one of her friends and sort of mentors at this point, just hitting the move she just messed up on. But I saw them both warming it up in practice. They both had it really easy. I think Sydney knew she stumbled a little bit there, and again wanted to end on something really strong.
Nice
that
work.
waffle she has easy, but that tack inward on the low wall on a tight ledge
without
in a crowded
missing
spot.
a beat. Perfect steps coming into it. Nice height, landing exactly how she wants to continue through to the next move.
Yeah, and you see that smile on her
Sydney's
face.
score of 7.26. Give it up for the women's style competitors.
All right. So, a hugely upsetting run for a couple of our top female athletes. Noah Giorgino Man and Elise Bickley both having issues in their runs. Elise actually taking a bail on a move that she easily has. I mean, I'm going to have to point to experience at this point. I think a little bit of the older competitors kind of knew what they wanted to do, knew how to play it, probably listened to their coaches, had some good input, and really laid down the lines that they needed to do there.
Nerves are a rough thing. They can just sap your body of energy and make you do things that on a normal day, no nerves, you can do 100 out of 100 times. Sometimes it can just create that one small slip up, especially when it's in a competition format like this, where you know your flow is so important and you're thinking about that aspect more than you normally would. It can cause some small mistakes that wouldn't normally happen.
So our leaderboard for this semifinal round puts Noah Giorgino Man from Holland, representing jump free run, in 4th place with a 6.45. But in a 6.46, we had Camila Stefanou out of Brazil, placing in 3rd. In 2nd place, Japan's Hanako Yamamoto with a score of 6.53, totally shaking up that podium situation. But our reigning champ, Sydney Olson out of Los Angeles, California, coming through with that massive 7.26. Not a huge surprise, but definitely something you want to see if you're looking to go into the finals.
I definitely don't think anybody is super surprised that Sydney came out on top, but I do think the point discrepancy is a little bit surprising, especially with how good some of these other women competitors are. There were just a few slip-ups that didn't quite get them where they wanted to go.
And of course, just to bear in mind that these scores are not going to be added to the scores themselves from the last round. It has to do with the ranking that they get. Each one is assigned a point value. So the judges are tallying up everything that happened yesterday and combining it with everything that happens today. We'll be announcing shortly who's going to be making it forward into that big trick final.
As you can see on the course, we have a few people setting up. We got Jared Ludy here hitting that calm gainer, that frog gainer down into a very tight space. Such a difficult move. Max Angel looks like he wants to get a good run through of his line, kind of waiting in line behind Ed Scott there. All the athletes want to get like as much of their run ran through while it doesn't matter, so that when it comes down to it and it's their time to go, they can perform perfect. Beautiful little giant transition there from Ed Scott. Looks like he's setting up for something big, eyeing up that purple wall. I wonder what that could be for. As far as these male competitors coming up goes, obviously I got my favorites, the Portland boys. We got Max Antle and Tyler Puterbaugh. And on top of that, one of who I consider the best in the world, Ed Scott, coming out, making it through qualifiers, through quarterfinals, into semifinals. And then right in front of us, we got Jared Ludy setting up for a monstrous run, repping Intrepid Parkour.
And then here we see a just massive taco being devoured by one of our spectators here.
He looks massively enthusiastic about it as well.
I know how big that used to be, and I'm just impressed by how much he's put down. You know, I think that's one of the cool things about the event. People are just, you know, they're just breaking barriers and leveling up left and right.
In every aspect of life.
So, we just got word the top 5 athletes from the men's and women's divisions are going to be moving on to the finals. So there is definitely room for each of these athletes to come through. That big trick finals is certainly going to be a banger, and I just cannot wait to see how this all goes down. All right, you can see our crowd just cannot even believe some of the things they just saw. There has been so much going down in this competition so far today. I think it's hard to keep track of everything. So if you guys missed any of this, just know that this live stream is going to be posted up. It's going to stay on the Origins Parkour YouTube. You can definitely check out anything you missed later on today after it's all finished up. But for now, stay tuned, because next up we have the men's style semifinals and this year's 2019 North American Parkour Championships here in beautiful Vancouver, Canada. Now, if you guys are wondering at home how you guys can get involved, check out sportparkourleague.com. You can hit it up, follow their social media. They've been releasing a bunch of great content from past year's events. You know, this has been going on for years. Even before it was NAPC, there was amazing events coming down here at the Origins Parkour facility and in Vancouver. They have an incredible community that's been built over years, a decade of pushing this sport forward, just constantly advancing what's going on here. And it's starting to come out and play really well with some of these athletes. You know, we're seeing these younger generations coming up. There's our judges right here, actually representing a lot of different generations of parkour. Kai Willis, Vinny Coriel, some of the old guard, some of that modern age, Darryl Stingley, and the younger guns coming up, George. Okay. And there's our crowd out there, always keeping us hyped in here. We've got the DJ spinning tracks all night. Food is flowing. There's waters and beverages. Now, one of the cool things about this event this year is they're really starting to integrate with the rest of the community with some of the really cool stuff going on outside of it. We're actually got some amazing prizes for everybody this year. Winner of the style competition, whoever comes away with the highest amount of points in style, is going to be getting a free ticket to the Red Bull Art of Motion, which is coming back this year to Matera, Italy. Now, this is the first year Art of Motion has moved from its iconic location in Santorini. A new one has been found in beautiful northern Italy. It has a similar vibe, a lot of different levels, definitely a different structure to this competition. You know, we had the winner of the Air Whip Challenge got a ticket to Matera as well. That competition is very similar to the Art of Motion style. I'm very curious to see who's going to come away from this competition because it's such a different style than Art of Motion, and see how it plays out once they're on a big, wide open course.
That is one of the tricky things for me as well, because I know that this competition kind of funnels you, as far as the judging criteria goes, into a particular style of movement. And that particular style of movement doesn't necessarily fit the same criteria that an event like Art of Motion might want you to do. And so I know there's a bunch of athletes on this course that would do amazing at Art of Motion. I do believe some of the ones making it far might not quite have that same edge on an Art of Motion course versus a course like this.
And you know, it's interesting you say that because as soon as you started saying that, I was thinking about Alfred Scott coming here a few years ago, and it was one of the most impressive competitions I've ever seen Alfred Scott at. Looks like we're about to get started, but all right, actually, Lincoln Powell is another great example. Like Alfred Scott, he's got a really unique style, but he's forced to find ways to get himself into place to do those things so he can make it to that big trick round at the end where he can really shine.
Exactly. I think Lincoln's another one that if he can make it to big trick round, he's got a lot of good stuff planned.
But I love that it's encouraging athletes like him to work on their flow.
Beautiful Kong underbar, diving cart over that vault. Side pre, oh, it looks like he falls into the out of bounds area. We'll see how that's scored. Goes for the Kong front. Ends it off with the scoot dub. Oh, just can't quite make it to speed. He's happy he made it through, but you know he's got to be kicking himself a little bit for falling into the out of bounds area and then taking a little bit not enough power on that scoot dub.
I'm really surprised we didn't see him hit any of those bars. He's got a couple on the course. You'd think he would really play to those whenever he could, but he took a different approach, maybe just trying to surprise the judges a little bit with what they don't expect. But I love that start from him. Such a clean run across the center stage.
Yeah, the connections were next to flawless. He was moving very quickly from the top down to the bottom. Things seem to have just fallen apart a little bit where he didn't quite execute exactly how he wanted to on that side precision to the IMAX wall. Ended up falling into somewhere he didn't plan on being. Had to figure out his way to get out of that and continue the flow going. Once a mistake like that happens, it can be so difficult to reset and finish strong.
6.07.
Like Lincoln still gets a score of 6.07 despite that fall on the scoot dub.
Next, representing Goons, Alberta.
Oh yeah.
Davis Johnson.
Davis Johnson was warming up, asking for a couple of tips. His line is one of the most well-connected that I've seen. If he can execute everything he wants, I think his connection score is going to be through the roof.
And that's what it's all about for this flow line.
Starts the waffle off the rail, doesn't miss a beat, goes right in the touchdown A-twist. Vaulting over, using his hands to transition well. Ooh, we can't see it there, but he did a 180 stride to wrap full. Goes over, comes up, ends with the scoot up. As you can tell from the crowd's reaction, that was a beautiful run. That is exactly what the judges are looking for. And executing that final big move at the end, stomping it out like he did, I think he's going to have a huge score on that. Look at that, using the hands to transition, using a ground move to transition. Here we can see the stride, one step to wrap full in a super tight area, and then the cartwheel sets him up exactly where he wants to go.
And that's one of the things that's so hard because even though those little ledges are not that big, they make such an obstacle because athletes like Nate Weston yesterday landed on one of them accidentally, bashed his shin, and it's still affecting him today. He had to change his entire run. So even though it's a small block that may not seem like it's going to affect you that much, when you're trying to hit these hard difficulty moves, it can really challenge you. Wow. 7.65 for Davis Johnson, a great score, putting him just above Lincoln Powell.
Oh boy, Sandy Banana Gang represent.
James West.
James West is known to be a powerhouse. He came through with a Chaussee triple full in yesterday's competition. I cannot wait to see what he's got planned here. Let's see if he tones it down to go for connections, or if he really goes, the low cast off the bar. He looks like he's going with a strong suit of just hench movement. Beautiful little swing cast. Couple walks, moving slowly to where he wants to go. Taking the cast back. I think he wanted to pop full out of that, but maybe not. Let's see where he's going. Oh! Touchdown to the double court, ending off a little cheeky pop full.
I am, I was obviously impressed by some of those moves, but I'm really disappointed in the way he chose to get to them. There's so many different elements he could have included there. Just such a rich variety of obstacles available to him.
Yeah, right after this little hang cast there, he hits the roll for the connection and walk, side flip.
And then goes back
here, and it does look like he wanted to pop full out, just decided, maybe it's a little too tight to squeeze it in. Let me just play it safe, go to the next maneuver. As always, the beautiful double cork. The hand goes down, so he links it in with a little pull in there.
6.53.
So that'll put him into second place, right underneath Davis and just above Lincoln Powell.
Representing Creek Freerunning from Spokane, Washington.
Daniel Creek, repping the Creek crew.
Judges, are you ready?
He's got some big stuff towards the end. He wasn't sure if he wanted to jam pack his run or just move to the areas he's comfortable with. Let's see what he decided on. So the palm spin, little palm side dropping straight into the 360 underbar. Nice work. So far, great connections. Not too much substance. Ooh, there it is. Webster down, Kong's up. What's he gonna end with? Turns into the double B twist. Not quite the landing he was looking for.
Yeah, I think one of the difficulties for a lot of athletes I've seen setting up stuff on that last platform is it's kind of a weird size. You can't necessarily get as wide of a step as you might want to for something like a B-twist.
Right.
But also it's too wide to do just a general step up off of. So it's making it really challenging for a lot of these athletes that are trying to figure out how to hit some of their higher level difficulty moves.
Exactly. See, right here, he just had to take an extra step that I don't think he wanted to take. And you also have, coming down to this bottom area, you have your momentum going forward, but you're going up onto a very thin ledge, and then you have to redirect it. And that can be really difficult going into that big final move.
Yeah, it's too bad because it looked like he saved that level of difficulty for some of those last moves, coming off the slant wall and then coming off that for that B-twist, the double B-twist. And it just seems like it wasn't as clean as he could have had it. Right. There were a couple stumbles there, and it sort of stacked those mistakes at the end. It's something that stays in the judge's mind. So even though he had a good lead, that's going to move him down just under Lincoln Powell.
And again, I think those falls end up tanking the score, and that was the big mistake there. Josh Malone coming in, I cannot wait to see this. He's got the craziest things. He is so good at these tack pulls and these wrap pulls. Sometimes I can't tell them apart. It is insanity. He was doing them off of bars like yesterday. Off the Webster to wall down monkey, 360 underbar, A-twist over, perfect connection into the vaults. Nicely done.
So smooth so
Love the
far.
reverse vault coming over. No extra steps. Ooh, and a goes for the tap, double forward. Oh, he is stoked with that one.
I just love his style. So much swag as he moves through everything, but he's also not just hitting those swaggy moves as sort of elements themselves, but he's using them as great connections.
And
So
look at this beautiful connection here. Directly into the down monkey, straight to the 360 underbar. And you'll see a lot of these moves he's landing, not taking a step, and going directly into the next motion right here.
Love
no
this.
extra steps, no pauses. Little step there, right out of the reverse, Konging directly up, scoot, and then the tack double full.
But that's what we didn't see from James West that he so easily could have done, is add in those little vaults, those extra little moves, hit it.
I think that's going to be a very high score for Josh.
Especially with that really techie double full right at the end.
7.86.
Moving him into first place, Josh Malone out of Temecula, California, moving just above Davis Johnson.
Representing Intrepid.
Jared Ludy coming out of Austin, Texas.
Jared Ludy.
I know he's got a jam-packed run planned for us. Execution will be key. He's got it very well planned out. The question is, can he execute on these hard elements? I know he has the skill. Can he do it under the pressure?
Well, you know, Jared, 20-year-old athlete, he's got 7 years of training under his belt, and he feels that his difficulty and execution are his strongest suits.
I completely agree.
So it means he's probably going to be confident putting some hard moves in here, like a tag back to rail.
Big full, no extra steps so far. The ping back handspring sets up for something big. The Kong gainer up to the top to the pop cast. 360 back handspring. He's hyped on that one.
So good.
Man, out here repping Austin, Texas, the Intrepid Parkour crew, and throwing down on this course.
Jared Ludy just absolutely bringing the bangers, but also I love that he started with a really difficult technical move because he easily could have messed it up, but it shows that confidence.
Exactly, showing different elements of his training. And check this out, he lands, does not move a foot, straight into the back handspring. One small step back for the Kong gainer, gets it off, goes directly into the pop cast, into the 360 back handspring, hands up. He knows that was a solid run.
With those frog gainers too, when it's on the same level, you really do want to send it out, and you can't go much farther out because he had that wall right there in his face.
That is one of the most disgusting places to do that. And I personally would not want to throw something like that mid-run with a giant purple wall right where I land.
8.15.
Massive score.
A well-deserved top score, 8.15.
That ties
Austin, Texas.
the
Jared
highest
Ludy.
score that we have had in the men's style event so far.
Representing Unparalleled Movement from Missoula, Montana.
Nathan Weston. Let's go, Nate.
Nathan Weston.
You can hear the crowd. They know this man's about to throw down, repping Unparalleled Movement. He had one of the smoothest, most controlled lines I've seen. Let's see what he's got. The wall back handspring out of the tack, goes straight into the gate, off of the bar. Flyaway precision, little stumble into the Webster, gets far enough to go right up into the punch front. Ooh! Goes for the scoop dub, ends up being just a little close, and literally dodges the wall with his head.
Yeah, he's a great start. Really strong, definitely a couple moments he would have liked to improve on. But talking to Nate before this, you know, he bashed his leg during training before the style event yesterday. You can see he's just a little bit slower on some of these moves, but still so clean overall.
Right here, takes one extra step there, goes for the flyaway. He was hitting this perfectly in practice, underdid it a touch, but made up for it with the perfect front. And then here, let's see what went wrong. It looked like his hand, it looked like his hand went a little further out than he wanted to, which meant he had to bring his feet in closer to his hand on landing, which sent him straight up instead of getting a little bit more backwards momentum.
But overall, he said yesterday he didn't even have a chance to try his run out. He basically just did it all on things he knew he could do, and it was enough to get him through.
Making the score of 7.15.
Even with that near bail, that is a solid score.
Now, Nate came very close to hitting that block, but he missed the block and stayed on his feet. So though it was close to a bail, I don't think it was counted as one. Tyler Buterbach.
Tyler Buterbach.
Forge Parkour coming in second place at last year's event. This man, he's coming off a bit of an injury, so he told me his main focus is on some tricky, flowy movement. He wants to keep it well connected and very interesting to watch.
He definitely did that yesterday, without a doubt. He had some of the most creative transitions we've seen, and they were all into good level difficulty moves because his toolbox is so big, he can take it easy and still kill it.
Starting with a really tight wall full on that bar. Nice underbar down, 360 underbar back up, straight into the side flip over. Beautiful flow work coming through here. Down into the cat, coming down up to the top, Kong front over. Up to the side, free step down to one more wall full. Let's go.
So again, not the highest level of difficulty we've seen from Tyler in the past, but that flow, I think, was the best we've ever seen from him.
Those connections were absolutely flawless. Tricky connections as well. As he came down from the cage, he does the underbar, turnaround cat, pops right back up to the 360 underbar. You're like, where's he going? Boom, I'm going pop side right over the top.
And for such a big guy, he's really able to put a ton of power into this stuff, but still keep it in these tight areas, which is so impressive. Just look how much space he takes up just standing there, but he's able to hit so many things back to back to back in such a tight area. And look, he doesn't even take his foot down to the ground. So nice, and the judges definitely see that. They definitely get it.
The difficulty wasn't quite there like we saw in our last run, but the flow was immaculate.
And again, like you said, he did those transitions, but they were all super
Tyler
technically
with a score
difficult.
of 7.65.
All right, so a solid score, 7.65, tying him with Davis Johnson. We still got Josh Malone and Jared Ludy in our top spots.
Representing Storm Freeland.
But this man right here absolutely has the potential to blow this out of the water. But one thing to keep in mind, we know he loves those big flip precisions. There's a lot of variabilities there. He could easily mess that up, and we saw that with Elise Bickley in the women's division. She went for stuff she was very capable of and wasn't able to put through.
If there's anyone out there that can keep it consistent and keep it clean, it's going to be Ed Scott. Repping Storm Free Run, getting his thoughts about him. Big tack palm flip. Comes through right over the bar into that gate flip. Beautiful transition with the giant. Oh, he's setting up for the big one. Going for the big side free. Wow. He's not done yet. Can he end it well? Let's go, Ed Scott. Listen to this crowd. They are going off right now. That was hands down the best run we have seen of this event.
Absolutely unbelievable run from Ed Scott. Exactly what he was looking to do. Hit all his bangers, connected everything. It wasn't necessarily as smooth as some of the people like Tyler's run, but he just hit everything he wanted to. I love this giant to cat. You just don't know what to expect, and he just uses it as a transition to get himself into place because he needed everything to make it for this, and he not only smashes it, carries it through.
Man, I am hyped after that. The difficulty was off the charts.
And then to finish with the double cork, just because he can. I saw him do this in air with this same thing, smashing Katahara full, and then just dropping a quick round off 720 back, just because he knows he's got those on lock.
That man right there, hyping up Max Ansel. Max Ansel gave him big props and see what we got.
8.85.
Crowd going absolutely wild for that score. A well-deserved 8.85 from Ed Scott.
Now we
That's
got
exactly what the judges are looking for.
We got Max Ansel coming up next. You saw Max come give Ed a huge hug afterwards. The camaraderie is amazing. Ed went right over that starting point. He's yelling up at Max, giving him that energy. He wants Max to stomp his line.
Just one more time for this side precision. Amazing.
All right, we got my own personal favorite, the hometown champion from Portland, Oregon, repping Forge Parkour, the reigning NAPC champion, Max Ansel, about to throw down his line. Starts with a step ball, comes through, big gainer, rolls it out, back handspring through to cape that connection clean. Comes up, where's he going? Ooh, comes around with the step ball. Okay, big step back. Triple A twist and stomps it out. Woo! Wow. The difficulty was there. The connections were there. He is stoked with that line. That's exactly how he wanted to perform it. I just don't know if it had the same hype and the same difficulty as Ed Scott's. We're going to have to see how the judges decide it. But the fact that he ended his run with a triple A twist. Look at these connections. A little slide on the feet doesn't stop him a minute. Comes through one swing turn. The second swing turn, he pulls through into the step vault. Uses the cast back to give him a little extra room. Bounces right back. Triple A twist down in that tiny compartment. He's happy about stomping that one.
And it's so hard seeing athletes hit those techie spins off of a high ledge too. It gives you that height, gives you time to do it, but you've got so many factors to think about.
Exactly, and because it's so high, it's so easy to drift one way or the other. Max has to be careful of not only landing on the slant wall, he has to be careful of hitting the purple wall and the two little concrete stone-looking pillars on either side.
7.78.
Max came out with a score of 7.78.
All right, that puts him in third place for this semifinal round with a 7.78. Right above him with this. Oh no, I'm sorry, I gotta correct that.
Give it up for all the competitors today. What an amazing show!
Man, look at these guys. They are just so happy that they were able to perform their lines how they wanted to. Props all around. The camaraderie is an amazing thing in this sport. Giving everybody their energy. Nobody wants anyone to fail. They all want each athlete to do as best as they possibly can. And that's what we saw tonight.
So your leaderboard for that event we've got two people tied for that 5th place spot. Tyler Peterbaugh and Davis Johnson from Calgary, both with 7.65s. In 4th place, that was 7.78. Max Antal, last year's champion, crushing it with that triple cork. Just above him, only a 1/10 of a point ahead with 7.86 is Josh Malone out of Temecula, California. Now in 2nd place, we had Jared Luddy with that insane run, scoring an 8.15. But the hero of tonight's event, there you see him right now, Ed Scott, with an 8.85. Just loving this, getting another angle. Look how massive that gap is. Hitting that in competition is just absolutely unheard of. Now, we were able to watch a ton of amazing stuff go down today. This was a huge, huge night. Can you give me some of your highlights, Joey?
Oh man, we got so many to talk about right now. I mean, we're gonna talk about all these style competitors right now. First of all, I'm just gonna go in order. We saw Josh Malone throw together one of the most perfectly connected runs. It was very, very creative, the way that he put his pieces together. Everything was just beautiful, right? Ends up with that tack double full and gets himself a massive finish there. And then, of course, Ed Scott. That massive side flip precision, side flips out, and before that, his connections were beautiful, where we saw Nate Weston go into the step ball over into the gate. Ed said, you know what, I'm not going to step ball, I'm going to jump straight over and drop into that gate. Adds a big level of difficulty, makes it so you can drift easily, and he's landing on a very small platform. Doesn't miss a beat, goes into the biggest side flip that we've seen, finished it off strong, and then we got my boy Max Antal going down the triple A twist, stomping it out at the end of his run. It was, dude, I'm going to go watch this right back.
It sounds like they're about to announce who's going to make it through from these last 2 rounds of the women's and men's division. Here we go.
Elise Stingley, Camilla Stefaniou, Noah DiOrigina, and Sydney Olson.
All right, Elise Bickley just barely making it through there.
Are Josh Malone, Tyler Peterbaugh, Jared Moody, Max Antal, and Ed Scott.
So Elise Bickley just barely making it through by the skin of her teeth. Very fortunate she did so well on the first day, but a huge upset in the men's division. Nate Weston not making it through in the finals. I'm gonna have to assume that injury during practice on the first day, it put him in a much harder place. He wasn't able to get as many points in the first round, then he wasn't able to come through. That little slip-ups, even though he didn't bail, still weren't enough to get him through in the second round. Really harsh loss for all of us because I really wanted to see what he was gonna throw down.
Without a doubt, having a fall during your practice time, I've had the same experience before in years past at Apex International. I popped out a rib, I had no practice time. You can't plan your runs. And if you can't plan your first run, there is an added level of stress. You have to make it up as you go. You can't really get a high score there. And then coming in today, he's still in pain after that injury. His whole leg season up. That's got to be devastating. but it happens, and that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Well, in the rest of our competition today, I would say we had a lot of our veterans, a lot of our sort of ranked expected athletes doing really well. Joe Hendo, Brody Pawson, all doing awesome in speed. Of course, Tim Champion coming through along with Joe and Darryl in that skills round. The women killing it again.
Always.
I loved seeing Sydney Olson come through again in the top one, the only athlete to complete all the challenges between the men and women. And of course, seeing those guys just absolutely throwing down on what is without a doubt the hardest skills competition we have ever seen in NAPC
Without a doubt,
history.
there wasn't a single athlete that completed more than 3 events in the men's skill division. And then we had Sydney Olson smashing the women's skill and smashing the women's style.
Well, it was an incredible day today, and I'm so excited to just remember right at this moment, this was only the semi-finals. We still have the finals going down tomorrow, Sunday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here, same place, sportparkourleague.com. Get the link, join us. If you missed any of today, the live streams from today and yesterday from the quarterfinals are going to be up online. Just hit up that link, and you'll be able to check it all out. I've been here, your main man, Frosty Fresh, as always, holding it down with my boy right here.
I'm Joey Adrian, bro. Even if you catch everything, go back and watch these men's semifinals that just went down. These were some of the most amazing things I've ever seen. Thank you so much, Frosty.
And thank you guys all at home for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Dude.